Have you found it difficult to get your man to be a man? Isn't it frustrating to spend so much energy begging him to be the masculine man in your relationship, only to feel like you still can't get it done? Well, what if I told you it's possible to get him to be the masculine energy in your relationship in a way you never even thought was possible? If you want to learn the strategy to do that, then join me on today's show where we're going to be discussing how to inspire masculine energy in your man. That way, you can finally exist in your feminine energy because your man is finally taking care of business. Welcome to the Players Club. If you're paying attention to me and everyone else in the live stream, please say here present so that I know you're here present and actively participating. How are all you beautiful people doing on today's show? So good to see you all on this Thursday afternoon, maybe Thursday night for some of you, maybe Friday morning for some of you, depending on where you live in the world. Who we got up in the TikTok chat here today? I see we got Gabriella here, Madrina is here, Chastity is here, Erica is here, Tamara is here. Gold Plants, one of the most generous and amazing Gold Plants is here. Welcome. Samaya is here. I love that name. Zyra is here. Welcome all you beautiful people in the TikTok chat. And we got our three moderators, Scotty, Sharice, and SH here as well. Who we got over in the YouTube chat? I see we got Mary Kim here. She's always steady. Justice Liberty is here. Blues is here. Welcome. Bella is here. Flower is here. Sima? Class is here as well. Who we got as some of our channel members here? Shout out to our channel member Henya, who's here. Cece, one of our channel members. I believe Tracy Niles is here. I can just count on her being here for the most part. I believe she's here. She should be here as one of our channel members. And of course, we have Missy America holding down our YouTube chat. Welcome all you beautiful people. Let's get started here today. Okay, we're gonna have lots. Let me use my different razor. We're gonna have lots of fun today. Now, I'm gonna warn you because I already can sense it in your bones, okay? I can feel it from across the screen. We're connected. We're like Siamese twins. I can feel some of you saying, well, Tomisin, how do I inspire masculine energy in the man who doesn't even want to ask me out on a date? You know, he hasn't really showed any interest in me, and he hasn't really shown himself to be invested in being in a relationship. But is it possible to inspire masculine energy in that man? No. Okay? We're talking about those of you who actually have a man who is invested in you, all right? And if you don't have that, it's okay. You can still learn from this. Just keep it in your back pocket, all right? So let's start off with our very first point that I want you to be thinking about, okay? I'm gonna draw it out first, and then we shall discuss, okay? Don't make fun of my drawing skills. No, this is gonna be you. Don't make fun of my drawing skills. Just be patient with me, okay? Trying to get better at this. Well, honestly, I'm not trying, but it's good enough, right? So we're gonna have the man here, and I'm gonna do a little bit of a visual for you so we can see how this works in reality. Give him some eyes to give him some life. All right, so, oops. All right, point number one is control. Now, the control I'm referring to is the fact that you have to let go of your desire to control everything he does. See, here's what's gonna happen. You have in your mind how you want a relationship to go. You also, because of the things you've experienced in your life, have an idea of if your relationship is gonna go this particular way, then that means your man has to do these particular things with you in the relationship and be this particular type of guy in the relationship in order for it to go exactly as it went in your mind. But this is a problem because what's going to happen after that is you're going to start trying to move, shake, and maneuver things so that the way that he is exactly how you imagined it would go in your mind, because you don't want to be disappointed or frustrated if anything is different from the image that you've been having in your mind for all of these years. But this is the thing. In the process of doing that, much like this visual, you'll end up putting your man in a box. And this box will be very constricting because it will consist of your ideas of how he should be, how he should act, how he should talk, and how he should approach everything in life. I'm not just talking about his relationship with you. I'm talking about everything he does, even the things he does outside of you. And this will become like a virus. It's like a sickness that will take over your mind and ruin all of your relationships, because only one of two things can happen from this point forward. Once you put him in this box and you say you want him to have these particular qualities, either he's going to try and break out of this box, right? Because he really wants to escape. Or what's going to happen is he's going to stay in this box. We'll call this option number 2, right? He stays in this box. This is option number 1. And if he stays in this box, then what's going to happen after that is you no longer have a partner. You have like a doll. You have basically a ventriloquist doll that you're going to control any way you want to. And the only time this ventriloquist doll of yours is going to make any movements is when you say so. But this is a problem also, because if your man is only going to do things when you tell him exactly what to do and exactly how to do it, then you no longer have a masculine man. Because having being in your masculine energy is not just about, protecting and providing, because I'm sure you've heard that before. It's also about understanding how to critically think and make decisions based on your critical thinking skills. And on top of everything, understanding how to take action and not have to be prompted or guided in order to necessarily take action, right? Being able to have autonomy. That's part of your man being in his masculine energy. But the problem is, if you end up putting him in this box of control, we'll call it, right? Where you're always trying to control every single little thing he does, down to the way he eats his dinner, down to the way he holds his fork, down to the way how much he looks at his phone. All of this stuff is going to make a situation where either he's going to escape, and the escape is bad because he's going to resent you, he's going to push against you because you're trying to control everything he does, and then he's going to end up wanting to do the opposite, or he's going to do number 2, which he's going to become docile. He's going to start reverting into his feminine energy because now he's just sitting back, relaxing, and waiting for you to provide him with direction, and he's going to do whatever you want him to do. And you're going to end up in your masculine energy because you're now directing your man on exactly how to be, exactly how to act, and exactly how to approach life, right? And in that scenario, it still ends up being bad for you because instead of, you have a man who's going to listen to you. You have a man who's going to follow your directions, but then you feel drained because you constantly feel like in order for your relationship to exist, that he has to be in his feminine energy, and subsequently you have to be in your masculine, which we don't want. So you must get out of your mind this idea as you're listening to me. Make it like a meditation, in and out. And when you breathe out, you're going to let go of your desire to control him and control everything he does and everything he says. Understand that you will only be able to exist in your feminine when you allow your man to show up for you by choice, not by force. The more you try to twist his arm and force him to show up or be the type of person or have the type of approach that you exactly want him to have by telling him to do this and do that and do this and do that and do this way, you're only going to end up deeper in your masculine energy. And as you end up deeper in your masculine energy, you're going to be more frustrated. As you're more frustrated, you're going to try to direct him to do more things because you're more upset. And it's just going to snowball out of control until you're full blown in a relationship in which you are embodying everything that the man should be embodying in his masculine energy, and your man is embodying everything that a woman should be embodying in her feminine energy. Okay? So now that we've gotten that first point out of the way, right? You're going to let go of your desire to have control. We're going to get into our next point to hop into the nitty gritty. Now that we've set you in the right mindset, okay? Are we all on the same page so far? Let me know in the chat, okay? Now, very important, point number 2. Okay, point number 2 is about confidence. Now, let me draw out this visual for you guys of the type of confidence I'm referring to so that we can all be on the same page. We're going to draw him a little boxy. There we go. All right. He's got long legs in this one. Okay, so I know we've talked about confidence as it relates to you and your relationship with yourself, because that's going to make you really attractive. Let's also refer to confidence as it relates to your men, because men need confidence in themselves too. And what I want you to understand is you can do something very amazing here. See, you have a lot of the keys to getting your man to do things in a way that you want him to do, as long as you know how to do it the right way. Confidence, when a man has confidence in himself, he's a lot more likely to take action and make decisions because he believes in himself. So then you're asking the question, okay, how can I get my man to believe in himself? By believing in him. See, this is the amazing part about you as a woman. You're so awesome, right? I'm going to draw here. I'm not very good at drawing, but let's imagine this is the Superman sign, right? The way you make a man feel like a Superman is by showing him that you yourself, right? You have confidence in him. See, because when you show that you have confidence in him, now he believes that he's capable of doing the things necessary to be the man that you need in a relationship, and subsequently he starts to snowball in the direction of wanting to fulfill what he believes you believe of him. Sounds very strange. Now, where is the places that we really want you focusing on instilling confidence in him, okay? Now, this is gonna sound a little bit strange here. Let me make sure I spelled that right. Okay, you're probably gonna be like, why are we doing this? Don't worry, I'm gonna explain it to you. The place that you want to instill the most confidence in him, and you wanna be on a daily, every single day basis, be speaking to the confidence that you have in him, is in his ability to make good decisions. I'm gonna say this again because this is so important to everything that you're gonna be doing in terms of putting him in his masculine. See, remember I told you earlier, being in his masculine is not just protecting and providing, it's also being able to take action. You want to get your man good at taking action without you having to speak up or say things all the time or nag about things. This is very important. If we want to see results in a particular area and we want to get improvement in a particular area, the way I want you to focus on it is by instilling confidence in his ability in that area. So in this sense, we want you specifically focusing on instilling confidence in him, making him feel like Superman in the specific area of how good he is at making decisions for both himself and for you in this relationship, right? For the both of you, for the betterment of all of you. Why? Because remember how we have in Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility? It's the same idea. When you are telling him how much confidence you have in him, in his decision making, you're actually giving him a whole lot of power, because you're saying, I trust you. I know that you're going to be able to use your critical thinking skills to be able to analyze all the options and opportunities and understand what I need as well as a woman, and understand what I need in this relationship to make the best decision for both of us. You're literally saying that when you're saying, I have confidence in you to make the best decision. Now, when you give him all of that power, he now has a lot of responsibilities on his shoulders, because he starts to say to himself, well, damn, okay, she really believes in my ability to make the right decision here. Okay, guys, we gotta, all right, we might have to sit down and analyze some stuff, because your woman, she believes in you. We can't let her down. We have to make sure that we're actually living up to the expectation that has been set. And this is a really good way to encourage your man to show up for you, because we want him taking action. We want him thinking about your happiness and thinking about how to satisfy that happiness through his critical thinking skills. So when we're instilling your confidence in him and your belief in him, now he can also have, in turn, he can also have some belief in himself. And I know it sounds very silly. You're like, how are men relying on me as a woman to give him confidence? Well, that's because there's a very symbiotic relationship between men and women. There's a lot of things you do for him in terms of inspiration and motivation that you wouldn't really ever be able to understand because you're just not a woman. That's okay. But if we understand how to strategically use it to your advantage, then we can get you what you want, okay? So we want to make sure that you're giving him this confidence in the area of how he makes decisions so that he now says, all right, she believes in me. I know she believes in me. It helps me believe in myself. Now I have to live up to that expectation in making good decisions and understanding how to take action. All right. Now let's hop into our point number 3. Am I making sense to you guys so far? You realizing some things yet or not? Okay. Very, very, very good. Okay. Now, we're going to use some really, really powerful things here. And you'll see here why this is really amazing. Okay, so, here, with point number 3, we're going to talk about suggestion. Now, I want to kind of give you a little bit of an example so that we can see how this works in action. So let's have 2 options here. Let's imagine you're going out somewhere, and let's just say for the sake of argument, I'm dressing you, okay? Don't worry about it. Don't make it nasty. Don't make it dirty. I'm dressing you today. Now, because I'm dressing you today, you have 2 options of shirts, all right? So over here, we have a red shirt. Okay, and I want all of you paying attention because I'm going to ask you a very important question at the end of this example. So I need you understanding these stipulations here, all right? And in our second option, because I'm dressing you today, we have a blue shirt, okay? Now, very important. This blue shirt is not a regular shirt. This blue shirt is wrinkled, it's old, it smells, and it's dirty, okay? And vice versa in these options here. The red shirt is clean, it's, we'll just say smooth, right? No wrinkles. And it is nice and bright, right? Not dull. And we'll also say smells good. Now, let me ask you a question because I need your participation in order for this to work. Let's say I came up to you and I asked you, hey, beautiful woman of you, we're going out today and I'm dressing you today. Today's a kind of interesting day. I want you to tell me, which shirt would you rather wear? Would you rather wear this clean, pristine red shirt? You know, red is the best color on you. You know, when you wear red, everyone stares. Everyone looks at you. It pops on your skin, everything like that. And I just think, you know, it would probably be the best one. Or do you want to wear this blue shirt? It's kind of old, though. I think when I picked it up, there was a couple of dust bunnies and mice crawling all over it. But, you know, the holes are not really too big of holes. They're just kind of, you know, it could be seen as like fashion. You know how the kids nowadays, they kind of like to look homeless, like that's the vibe. But I don't know. I just think, you know, you could choose the blue one, but the blue one, it doesn't really work on your skin. But it's whatever. I mean, whatever you want to wear. Which color do you want to wear? Do you want to wear the red shirt? This is where I want you to answer. Do you want to wear the red shirt or do you want to wear the blue shirt? It's your choice. Tell me, which one is your choice now? Okay, someone said purple. Someone said number 1, right? Definitely 1. I want to wear the red one, someone says. I'll wait for all of you to answer. Give all of you an option here. Someone says white, okay. I see red. Someone said, I think someone said blue. The clean one, all right. Now, tell me in the chat, right? Because I want us to really be understanding of this. You had a choice. Why is it that majority of you are picking the same choice though? there are two choices here. You would think we would be split kind of down the middle. Tell me in the chat, why did you, for yourself, pick the red shirt? Why not pick the blue shirt? What's the reason? They're both nice colored shirts. Well, there are colors, okay? What was the reason that a lot of you seem to gravitate towards the red shirt? There shouldn't be a consensus because we should all have different flavors and colors and styles and everything like that, right? Andrea says, I like being fresh and clean. Liberty says, I want to be clean and smell good. Someone else in the TikTok chat says presentation is better, okay? Because the red one is clean and smells good. Nana says better quality. Okay, this is great. And I know some of you are thinking, well, what does this have to do with my relationships or my masculine man? See, this is the really interesting part about suggestion. See, you in your feminine are actually really good at helping to make the decision that you wanted to make in the first place. As long as you understand how to present that information in a way that has your man able to choose what he wants to do. But if you're smart and very intelligent, you understand how the power of suggestion will make it so that there is no real choice. Let me explain this to you. See, when I gave you these two options, I purposely presented you with two options knowing how you would naturally go through your process of thinking through your answer or thinking through your solution. When you're analyzing both of these different options, and I'm presenting to you options in number one, that this is a clean, smooth, clean, crisp smelling shirt, and number two, that this is wrinkled and old, smells dirty, doesn't look good on your skin, all of that is affecting your psyche. All of that is affecting your decision making. And logically, most of you will go down the same path of decision making saying, I don't want to look wrinkled. I don't want to smell nasty and smell disgusting, which is exactly what a lot of you said. So when I gave you a choice, you ended up choosing what I wanted you to wear anyways, but it still felt like a choice. So how does this align with you and your man in your relationship? See, you can do the same thing and allow your man to still feel like a masculine man by making a choice, but you can still understand the power of suggestion and how to present information in a way that makes it very clear one choice is a lot better than another one. But the thing about it is, and the way that this works to inspire masculine energy, is because when you allow your man to make the final decision, he gets to feel like a man. And you're helping him do something very important, which we're going to talk about in a little bit as well, in understanding how to go about critical thinking and allowing himself to think through the options, think through what the best decision is, think through why something else might not be a good decision. And then in that process, you're building what we're going to refer to later as muscle memory, that he gets in the flow of understanding how to make a decision, how to think through it, how to process information, and then understands how to make a final decision based on processing all of that information. Now, when you start building this process over and over again, right, and you build this up, you get a man who is capable of making decisions all the time. And a lot of times when you can do this in a nice feminine way, you don't interfere with the process of making him feel like a man by making him feel like you made the decision for him. You present him with the information, now, albeit you present him with the information in a very specific way, but then you allow him to make his own choice. And I promise you, men always feel more like men when they feel like they get to make their own choice of how they want to go about the situation, especially as it relates to you and his relationship with you. Okay, let's hop into our point number 4. Hope that made sense, and I hope you guys could see the red and the blue there. I was a bit worried you guys might not be able to see those colors on the board. All right, let's hop into our 4th point. Where did my thing go? My stuff disappearing on my iPad. Let me get into my notes here. Just give me a second, chat. Okay, now in our 4th point, a lot of you weren't gonna like this because you'll see why. Okay. Okay. So I know this might look a little bit confusing to some of you, but I'm going to explain what I mean here. Understanding that when your man is existing in his masculine energy, in order for you to inspire this and grow with this over the course of time, you're not going to like this, but you're going to have to let him make some mistakes. Okay? Because part of being a masculine man is understanding how to take action. Unfortunately, with any human being, they're not going to be absolutely perfect and know everything the very first time. So in the process of him taking action on some things, he's going to make mistakes. And even sometimes he'll make mistakes in a way where you might be more knowledgeable than him. You might be more understanding than him. You might know exactly how this is going to end up and exactly the type of mistake he's going to make. But what I want you to let go of, remember, like we talked about in the beginning, I want you to understand that the best teacher for him is for him to make his own mistake and realize for himself how things will end up when he makes his own mistake. Okay? So I gave you an example here so that we can actually kind of walk ourselves through this and how you would apply this. For example, let's say you really want your man to take the trash out at a specific time every night because whenever he doesn't, he always forgets it, or whatever the case may be, because he's busy and he just forgets to do it. And every time you end up having to tell him, hey, go take the trash out, go take the trash out, go take the trash out every single week, right? And you're tired of having to baby your man to take the trash out simply because it's not something that you need to be reminding him of all the time. He needs to get good at being able to self-regulate. Now, this is what I want you to do. I want you to allow your man to make his own decision. So you can remind him, hey, today is trash day, and leave it at that. Let him analyze information. Should I take the trash out right now when she's reminded me that it's trash day? Or should I do it later and take a shower first? Should I eat first? Should I go on my phone first? Should I finish up this game? Knowing that there's a possibility when I say I'll do it later in option number 2, that I might forget and I might not take the trash out. I know this is going to be a little bit painful for you, but I want you to let him choose for himself so that if he makes this choice, I'll do it later. It's not a big deal. And when he makes the choice, he actually forgets to take the trash out. And then that trash is sitting there and it's smelling up a storm because now he forgets to take it out and it's not out for the next morning. And then all of a sudden the trash man doesn't take your trash and it's sitting there and you can't get rid of it now. Now he has a new problem on his hands because that trash is not going to get taken out for another week. And it's going to sit there in the house stinking up a storm. Now, I know that's going to disturb your peace. And I know that's going to bother you because you knew in your mind that if he would just take the trash out, you wouldn't have this problem and the both of you wouldn't be sitting in this smelly apartment or the smelly house. But the thing about it is, the best teacher for men is learning from their own mistakes and realizing when he's sitting and he's playing that video game, and the apartment is smelling or the house is smelling and it just smells like garbage in there to the point where instead of him just being able to walk out to the trash can 10 feet, put the trash out and go back to his video game, now he has to take the whole trash bag down, out, put it into his small car, take it all the way to the local dump and then throw it away there just to get rid of the trash. Now he knows through experience of having to do all that to get rid of the trash now, that he probably should, next time you remind him that it's trash day, just go ahead and take the trash out then. And I want you to continue allowing him to make his own mistake until he starts to self-regulate and realize, oh, I don't want a smelly apartment. Because I don't want a smelly apartment, I can't forget to take the trash out. If I'm going to make sure I don't forget to take the trash out, I'm either going to have to start setting myself a reminder, or whenever my girlfriend or my wife reminds me about it's trash day, I make sure to take out the trash right then and there instead of putting it off till later. See, when you allow men to make mistakes, you force them to course correct on their own. Sometimes when you get into the habit of trying to control everything, you want to spell out for them how they need to course correct. But remember, like we talked about putting your man in a box, you create a scenario where your man loses his ability to have his own critical thinking skills. Subsequently, when he loses that ability to have critical thinking skills, he loses his ability to exist in his masculine energy. And then you have to take that on and you become the man in the relationship, okay? Which we don't want. Let's hop into point number 5. Okay? Hope that made sense to you all. Let me know in the chat if it did. Okay. All right. Now, oh boy, I know you guys really aren't gonna like this one, so just buckle yourselves up. Oops, spelled it wrong. Make sure the spell police don't get me. Okay. Let's, we're gonna draw out a visual here. And then I'm gonna explain what I mean here. Okay. A lot of visuals. All right. Okay, so point number 5 is about criticism. Now, I know a lot of you won't like this, and you're not gonna like this because it's very hard to do, especially when you're in the habit of doing this. See, I wanna ask you a question, and then we're gonna focus on how this applies to the men. So let's start by asking you something. Let's say you had 2 options for 2 different types of roads, okay? Number 1, right, your A option is a clear road. And both of these roads are leading you to a destination that you have to get to, right? This is your point A, your starting point, and this is your point B, your end point, okay? So let me even draw these as numbers so that it's a little bit less confusing, right? So we'll have 1, and we'll have choice number 2, all right? So in choice number 1, you have a clear road to go down, nothing too crazy there. Now, in choice number 2, let's say on this road, there's a whole bunch of things that could put you in pain. There's spiders, there's snakes, there's, we'll say, poison, just trees, and we'll even say toxic air. All of these different things exist on road number 2 here, right? Put gases over here and things like that. Now, tell me in the chat, both of these roads lead you to your destination. Which road are you gonna choose? Are you a risk taker like the crocodile hunter and you wanna go down this road with snakes, poisonous ivy and toxic air just to see what the vibes are like because you like exploring? Or are you gonna choose the path which is clear, has no issues, has no toxic air, and will get you there safe and sound without any issues, okay? Tell me in the chat which one you're gonna choose. And I wanna know because participating is such an important part of this show, okay? Let me know in the chat, which is your choice? Someone says, is he live on YouTube too? Absolutely. Just go to my YouTube. It's right above my head on the top right corner of the screen, okay? Someone said road number 2, I like risk, okay? The clear road, all right? Destination B is unaliving. All right, so the reason I'm asking this question, obviously, most of you are gonna choose choice number 1, unless you're some sort of risk taker. Choice number 1 in the clear road. But why are you choosing the clear road? Because choice number 2 is filled with a lot of pain, okay? physical pain and emotional pain. There's a lot of hurdles you're going to have to overcome to go down this road and be successfully able to come out on the other side whole. But here's the thing. It's the same thing for men with criticism. See, when you get to a point with a man where every time he does make a decision, remember, being in his masculine energy is about understanding how to take action for you without being prompted to. And now, when he finally does make a decision, if you're continuously critiquing his decisions and picking apart every single little thing that he does, what you're actually doing is you're creating a situation where the road of making a decision for you and making a decision for this relationship and taking action is actually filled with pain because you spend all of the rest of the time after he makes the decision critiquing why he made this decision and how it was a bad decision. So let me give you an example of how this works in a relationship. Let's say you want your man to start planning more dates with you and you want him to start taking you out more. You want him to be more romantic with you in this relationship. And when he finally does book a reservation without being prompted, when he finally does schedule this so that you guys are both free and just surprises you with something like, hey, let's go out to this sushi spot, you're like, oh, why would you go and book a reservation at this sushi spot? Like, this place is not even all that. And I'm not even in the mood to get sushi. Why wouldn't you ask me first what I was in the mood for before booking the spot at the sushi place? Now we don't even have enough time to book a reservation at the place I would actually have wanted to go to, that Mexican spot across from town. Like, I don't even feel like eating sushi today. I feel like just next time, just ask me before you just go ahead and book something. Like, I'm not necessarily going to be feeling that. You want to know what happens then? He says, oh, sorry. I tried to be a masculine man. I tried to make a decision. I tried to take some action, but now I feel very small. Now I take in a road and it's filled me with a lot of pain. So next time I'll just not make any decision. I'll just stay docile. I'll just not say anything unless spoken to, and I won't do anything. I'll just be here unless you say that's what you want me to do something different. This is a problem. You get into this cycle, and then your man is filled with pain whenever he does try and take action. And every time that happens, he's reminded to himself where he's learning, I'm filled with pain because any decision I make is usually the wrong decision in her eyes. And she critiques everything I do. So I'm just going to stop making decisions. I'm going to let her tell me what she wants, when she wants it, and how she wants it. Because if I don't wait until that time, she's going to critique whatever choice I choose to make without her input. Now you're in a situation where your man doesn't want to make any choices because he's fearful that any choice he'll make will be critiqued. Now you have a feminine man because once again, he doesn't want to take any action. He's too much in fear of the pain associated with taking action and the criticism he'll face for taking action that he just says, it's best for me to do nothing. So my advice to you is to be aware of this process. And when you see your man, when you're speaking confidence in his ability to make decisions, I understand he might not make the perfect decision. And I understand it might not look exactly how you want it to look. But I want you to refrain yourself from trying to critique every single little choice he made, showing appreciation when you're seeing him do some things in terms of taking action. That way you can be encouraging this behavior and make him feel like, oh, this is a clear pathway. This is a clear roadway. When I make decisions and I take action, I feel like the man. My woman appreciates me. My woman cares for me. She praises me when I make decisions. I need to make more decisions. I need to believe in myself more because my woman believes in me, right? I know it's very difficult because sometimes when he's actually not doing it perfectly how you want to just tell him all the different ways he's not doing it perfectly how you want. But you don't want to turn into one of those people who only has something to say when they have something to complain about. Okay? Not saying this to attack you, but I'm helping you understand it's a very easy way to suppress your man, put him in his feminine, and then subsequently you now have to be in your masculine just to exist in this relationship. Okay? right? L says take less control, precisely. So your man can take some. Now, let's hop into point number 6. Okay. I know that one's going to be tough, easier said than done, but you have to let him make the choice so that he can get in the habit of making the choice. Now, okay, point number 6. Whoops. I drew the muscle so big and I drew the memory so small. Okay. Just like in any, we draw it out here. Oops. Chat, you know I can't draw, so just bear with me. Bear with me here. Huh. How am I going to draw this? Hoop. There we go. There we go. That doesn't look bad. Okay. All right. So, just like with sports, point number 6 is about muscle memory. Just like with sports, you want your man to build his muscle memory up. And the muscle memory I'm referring to is his muscle memory and his ability to make decisions and take action. So in order for him to build this muscle memory up, unfortunately, you're going to have to be patient with him. Why? Because this process takes place over the course of time. It's not a wake up, immediate, everything is 180 degrees different. See, similar, the reason I drew out a visual of a basketball, when a person is learning how to shoot a basketball and learning how to be a good basketball player, you understand the way your body has to move, the way you have to stroke it, no dirty stuff, the way you have to stroke it, right? And the way you have to actually maneuver your body and the way you have to follow through, what it feels like when the ball goes in, what it feels like when you miss. And over the course of time, you develop this understanding, right? It's kind of like an emotional and physical understanding of what it feels like to have things working properly, similar to when you're shooting a basketball. As you get better at understanding what your shot feels like when it's going in, you know the exact mechanics of what you need to do in order to get that ball in the basket, to the point where as your muscle memory grows, you can start to feel that a shot is good simply when it comes off of your fingers, because you know the exact motion that you must go through in order to get that ball in the hoop. And it's the same thing with men. As they're allowed to have some muscle memory, make their mistakes, go through this process, right? They're building their ability to understand, okay, when I'm critically thinking, when I'm making decisions, this is the process I have to go through. This is how I consider my needs. This is how I consider my woman's needs. This is how I consider what's best for our relationship, and then make a good decision. I'll get praise for it. I'll realize the consequences are good after I make that decision. And then that will be how I understand what muscle memory, or what is my jump shot, what's my stroke, that I can get that ball in the hoop. How do I have success, right? And having those small wins in different ways in the relationship when he takes action builds up that muscle memory. But like I said earlier, you have to be patient with this process. You can't expect this man to wake up one day and 180 degrees be completely different and now make decisions in a way he never was able to before. The same way your confidence grows over a period of time and you become more attractive is the same way a man's confidence can grow with you while in a relationship with you, right? As you believe in him, he believes in himself, and there's a snowball effect. We want that snowball effect to take place, but you have to be patient while this thing is processing. I know for some of you, even when it comes to criticism, aside from criticism, you might be knowledgeable in areas that he's not. You might be really smart in areas that he's not. You might know way more than him in general. And so you might have an urge to say, before you even think through your decision, I already know what the best decision is. Let me make it for both of us. I know that you're smart and you're intelligent and you're capable. I'm not saying you shouldn't be that. But if we want your man to embody masculine energy, you need to take a step back and just let him think it through himself. Even if it takes him twice as long as you to come to the same decision you would have came to in 20 seconds, it's okay. Because understand, you're doing something for yourself in the process of doing this and being patient. Because in the end, when your man builds up his muscle memory to be able to think decisions through and make the same decision that you wanted him to make in the first place, at the end of the day, you benefit from that. Because then you have a man who becomes eventually capable enough that he's thinking through decisions rapid fire. And before you can even think to yourself what you need, he already knows what you need and he's given that to you. Think of that as your end goal. And remember that when you have a desire to say, I don't want to wait. I just want to tell him exactly what he needs to do. He's so dumb, Tomisin. He takes so much time to think through the process. He could just do it like this. It's so. I know it is. And I know in a perfect world, he'd be able to process the information like that and make the decision like that. But I promise you, you will be in a better place energetically. You'll be in a better place in your relationship. You'll be in a better place in your dynamic if you just be patient and let him cook. Let him think through his process and let him come to the same decision that you were going to come to later, earlier on. But when he does that and he builds that muscle memory, it'll start to snowball after a while and he'll become quicker and quicker in his decision making. All right? Make sense? Very, very important. Let him cook. Men just need a little bit of space to cook sometimes. Now, let's hop into our 7th point. A great way to thing to remember in our last little point here. Okay, so very simple. It's gonna look weird, don't worry. It means something very symbolic. Okay. So I know this looks kind of weird when I'm drawing it out, but I promise you it makes sense. All right, so point number 7 is about the sandwich. Now, what are you going to be sandwiching? What I want you to start doing and getting good at. See, there obviously are going to be times where you want to ask him to do something a little bit better. And you want to kind of guide him gently in a particular direction and point this out as something you want to be done a little bit better. Now, how are you going to do that in a way that actually gets you what you want? The way you do that is by sandwiching compliments in between the thing that you want to be adjusted, okay? So what does that look like? See, when you're sandwiching compliments between an adjustment, you're doing it because you want him to be reminded that you see everything that he's doing well. You see how he's doing it well, and you're acknowledging that this is already going well in these other areas. Then you put in an adjustment, and you reinforce the idea that he's already made adjustments before that were similar to this or even harder than this, so you believe in his ability to make this adjustment. Let me give you a perfect example here, okay? So, let's say, for the sake of example, you and him are struggling with him asking you out on dates, right? And you guys having a romantic side to your relationship, right? You guys have fallen into the pattern of just kind of sitting around, hanging out, but not really being romantic with each other as you once were. And so you want to encourage that as the adjustment, as the meat that you want to address here in terms of asking him to do better in this area. What I want you to do is I want you to think of 2 things. The first thing that you're going to compliment about something he already does to the max really, 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 really well. And then I want you to think of your second compliment as a compliment of something that he was doing not as much before, and then he improved on over the course of time, and now you've seen great improvement and you're so surprised and shocked with how much he's improved in that area. So how does that look like here? Let's say your first compliment in this area is that he has done a great job since the beginning of the relationship in just being so communicative and expressing how he feels and being honest about what he wants and providing you with clarity and never leaving you in the dark about things. So you come to this and you say, hey, I just want you to know I really appreciate, the way that you're so communicative in our relationship. And your communication honestly inspires me because I was never as communicative before, but you do such a good job opening things up and making me feel comfortable talking about the things that are important to me. That I feel like it would be the right thing to just tell you about how I feel about this thing. I feel like, we were so good at the beginning of our relationship with dating each other and making sure that we still keep the romance alive. I just feel like now we've gotten to a point where both of us are kind of neglecting that part of our relationship. And I want us to both feel like that spark and feel that intense desire for each other like we did at the beginning. Doesn't have to be like we just met, but I really want us to like be dating again because I want to like learn you and be deeply in love with you again, like we were so fascinated with each other at the beginning. And I've seen the other ways that you're so romantic. Remember how at the beginning you weren't really ever getting me flowers? And then I talked to you about how I really loved that and I really appreciated that. And now you get me flowers all the time. Literally last month or last week, you got me flowers just out of the blue because you just felt like it and you were at the store. And it just reminded me how much you are good at listening to me and taking into account what I want and what I need and like making an adjustment. And I just really appreciate you for that. You see how I slid all of those in there? By the time you finish talking, it doesn't even seem like you were angry or upset about anything. Doesn't even seem like there was a problem there. It kind of seems like I just spent the last, 3 minutes praising you for the things that I love about you. When you can sandwich it like that, you can also kind of call it gentle parenting in a sense, right? When you can sandwich it like that, it really feels like, oh, I feel appreciated for what I've done. I feel appreciated for what I'm doing. I feel appreciated for the ways I'm improving. It's recognized here. She doesn't just only speak up when she sees I'm not doing something to tell me how I'm not doing it. She also makes sure to recognize the ways that I'm doing things very well. And those get brought up even more than the adjustments, right? See, for every one adjustment, for every meat, there is 2 pieces of bread, okay? And I really mean that in a sense, you're giving him a little bit of a treat here. You have the thing that you want to address, but in the process of you addressing the thing, you give him a treat. 2 treats at once, and it makes the situation a lot more palatable. And I guarantee you, I'm a man, so I'm telling you this, I guarantee you, you're a lot more likely to get him to make that adjustment when you say it this way and you present the information this way in this sandwich than you are if you only open your mouth to say, hey, you never take me out. You never do this. Other boyfriends, they take their girls out, they buy them flowers, they do this and they do that, and you never do this for me. I've never gotten anything from you. You're like the worst boyfriend. I promise you, when you present information like that, you will not get the response that you're looking for. And I know it's easier to present information like that and not think about how you're delivering it. But I promise you, if you just take some time to think about your delivery, you will get so much more than you ever thought possible. I genuinely promise you that, okay? Does that make sense? The sandwich there, the compliment sandwich. Now, do you guys have any questions about the 7 that we just discussed here today? By the way, I seen someone say, can you repeat the way that I explained it? Don't worry. It's all available on my TikTok. Just go to the, on top of my head here. Not on my TikTok, on my YouTube. Go on the top of my head here if you're watching this on TikTok. Go to my name where it says Tomisin on YouTube, Tomisin, just type it in the search bar on YouTube. You'll find me live on YouTube at the same time as I'm here on TikTok. And then you can just rewind it there and you'll be able to see exactly what I said and all the other points that I said before. That way, none of you are missing not even a second of any of the advice that I gave here, okay? Someone says, part 3 example, please. What do you mean part 3? Like point number 3? When I said suggestion, I gave I gave a direct example of what I meant about suggestion, right? Suggestion is just understanding how to make suggestions in a way that it makes it clear what the best choice would be without necessarily saying what the best choice would be. I gave an example of the of the t-shirt there. Now I know the t-shirt's not exactly what you would be using, but the idea is the same, right? Understanding how to present information in a way where it's like, okay, this is really good. Understanding what his needs are, understanding what your needs are, and then understanding how he would logically think through the process of making a decision, right? The reason I use the shirt is because if I present to you a dirty shirt, knowing you want to be clean, well, how's that going to affect your decision making, right? So the same thing can apply for you as well. Jade says, I'd be curious what he thinks about Mariah Nicole's advice. Who's that? Who's that? Maybe send me it on TikTok. Tag me in it on TikTok. Maybe I'll react to it. Okay. Henya says, like, make a statement and let it ring back in his ears. Exactly. Right. Suggestion is something that you can become good at over the course of time. And suggestion works exactly the same way as I described it in my example. You just present choices, understanding what the most logical thought process will be if you can understand how to present your choices in a particular way. I know it sounds a little bit complex, but I promise you it's possible. Just start trying it out. Just start using two choices and saying, which one would you rather? You can start out the power of suggestion by doing something as simple as this. Okay, we have two options for me to wear. Out. Tell me which one you would rather me wear. You can say, I can wear these jeans that make my butt look amazing, that you're going to be staring all night because of how amazing my butt looks and how good I feel in them and how sexy I feel in them. Or I could wear this orange dress that I don't think looks very good on me, I don't think fits me very well, and I don't think is the right vibe. He'll say, oh, wear the jeans that you look great in and you feel super sexy in, right? But you see how you kind of presented the information in a way where it's pretty clear which one he would more like to have, which choice is obviously going to be better for him, but you didn't actually say that, but you presented it as if there was a choice there. So it's the same idea. You can start off small like that. Then you can start building it up to different things and doing the exact same thing, okay? Asia says, I definitely have been told I need to work on my delivery, but it's like, come on. Well, here's the thing, Asia, you have to understand, you can't think of when we're talking about stuff like this, how to put your man in his masculine and stuff like that. I know some of you think to yourself, why do we always have to do things for the man? When are they going to do things for us? Who's going to teach a class to teach men how to act? At the end of the day, you can only control what you can control. That's all I want you to focus on, okay? And when we're talking about how to get what you want, I'm teaching you how to take action in a way that will help you get what you want. You can't think of it, oh, I'm doing something for the men, so disgusting. Think of it as I'm doing something for him so that he can do something for me. It's an even exchange. That's why I always tell you guys, it's not really a game when you think about it and you think about relationships. It's just understanding men and how they react and respond to things, so that you can give them what they want, that they can also give you what you want. You want a masculine man, right? So you're going to have to give him some things in order to set the right environment and stage so you can receive that as well. Don't be someone who's in such high expectation of how a man should show up for you and what he should do for you. And then when someone says something like, oh, adjust your delivery or your delivery's off or whatever the case may be, you're, why is anyone telling me how to change or adjust? Everyone needs to change or adjust for me. You're not going to get anywhere that way. Okay. You're not, I promise you, you won't. And that's part of the problem, right? I'm not saying you, Asia, are like that, but it's one of the things you have to be thinking about, right? Because I know the idea of inspiring your man to be masculine makes some of you feel like, oh, but he should be the one already masculine. I shouldn't have to do anything to inspire that. I shouldn't have to do anything to prompt that. It should just already be existing in him. Why can't someone teach him how to be masculine? I mean, in a perfect world, sure. But that's not the world we live in, okay? Fiona says, I'm struggling with the amount of gifts and attention I'm receiving with these principles. What sort of things is he expecting in return? It doesn't matter what he's expecting. You don't care what he's expecting. You only care about if he's showing up for you how you expect him to show up for you. Don't have a pick-Misha mindset, Fiona, is when you're thinking about how you can do more to be liked by him. Don't ever be in that mindset. You as a woman, you solely only think about, is he showing up for me in the ways that make it so I would even want to continue giving him access to me? That's all you think about, right? Obviously, we have our strategies on how you're presenting yourself and things like that. But when you're doing those strategies, you're not thinking to yourself, I'm doing these strategies so he can like me more. You're thinking to yourself, this is how I'm going to present myself to any man, right? Because this is my newfound understanding of what will get the best response from men. But in the process of that, all the men I meet and that I date, I'm going to be the one evaluating them because now I know I have all the keys to be the most desirable and attractive woman of all time. Now that I have these keys, I'm no longer going to think about what the men need from me because I already know I possess that. I'm only going to think about how are they showing up for me that I can choose the best one for myself. Okay. I wanted you to kind of rechange your mindset like that. T says, how do you let a guy know you're interested without asking him out? We talked about that in flirting. It's really eye contact, it's body language, and that's really it. Smile, right? Excuse me. You're not going to do any more than that. Any more than that, you're in your masculine because you should not be approaching men. You should not be the one coming up to them and saying, hey, I thought you were. No, no, no. You don't do any of that. And if you try all of your eye contact, your body language, the walk past, the maneuver, the eye line, right? Eyesight, whatever you want to call it. When you try all of that and it still doesn't work, then you just let it go because at some point he has to take control there, right? Someone says in our TikTok chat, I think that was a good question. Gabriella says to muscle memory, what if he transfers the acquired ability with us to another woman? What do you mean by that? Oh, you're saying that what if you inspire him to be a masculine man? He takes that masculinity and then now he's masculine with another woman? Well, then that's just life. Okay. You can't control that. Those things are outside of your control. What do you expect me to say? Slap him and tell him to not be masculine anymore or forget everything that you taught him? That's just the reality of life. Sometimes you're going to do things you're only to get the perfect man, and that perfect man's going to go off and be with someone else. I'm not telling you, and let me be clear too, because I don't want any of you thinking that I'm saying this. I'm not telling you to build a man from scratch, right? This isn't Build a Bear, right? I'm not telling you to build him up and get him better and make him perfect so that he can take that and give it to someone else. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if you have a man that you know wants to be in this relationship with you, but you also know you're not getting the type of masculine energy that you want and you're feeling a little bit in your masculine in this relationship, this is how to turn the dynamic back in your favor where you can exist in your feminine by also helping him exist in his masculine. That's what I'm addressing here. But you're not building a man up or kind of creating a man who doesn't have any desire for you to be in his masculine with you when he doesn't even want you. Okay, right? Haley says, I need a man first. It's fine. Some of you might be hearing this and this information might not be relevant to you right now, this second, but it's relevant to you down the line when you start building a relationship with a guy and understanding how to keep your dynamic going and continue to have the dynamic that works for you. You don't want to find yourself in a relationship and then a year or 2 years down the line, you're like, oh, I feel like I wear the pants here and I do everything here. You won't be very turned on that way, mentally or physically, right? T says that's easy for Tomisin. He knows everything. I'm learning every day. Okay, I'm not a perfect human being either. Blue says, how long the cook time to let them initiate and lead? Well, assuming he's your man, as long as he needs to understand how to make a decision. I know it kind of sounds open-ended, but if he's your man, assuming, it's not something major that would literally harm you guys if he waits too long, understand like, okay, what's the worst that can happen here if I'm patient? And if there's something like really important here that I can't be super patient about, maybe wait right up until the line. But I do assure you, the best teacher is learning from his own mistake. So sometimes you might have to sacrifice knowing this is going to be a teachable lesson for my man, and he's going to realize why this was a bad mistake by learning and experiencing the mistake. I know it sounds like you're raising a child, but trust me, sometimes with partners, even both men and women, sometimes with partners, you can't be a helicopter parent. You have to let them make the mistake, see what it's like to experience the mistake so that they know to not do the mistake ever again. Okay? That's just how human beings work sometimes. You can't always want to put bubble wrap around your man and prevent him from making the wrong decision because you're scared of the outcome or you're scared of the possibility. Sometimes you just got to let him fall. so that he can be a man, okay? Especially if you're with a man who has had a helicopter parent. He's not going to be used to falling, but it's good. It's good. It's good for you. It's good for him. It's good for everyone. For him to learn how to be a man. Into our first video of the day here.
You heal your heartbreak in about 10 seconds. Whenever you feel yourself crying about that nigga, say this to yourself. Oh, I miss my loser. Oh, I miss my bum ass loser. Oh, why did my bum ass loser leave me? And then you're gonna sit there and think to yourself, like, I'm crying over a loser. Like, am I okay? Is everything good? Are you good? There's no way you should be crying about no loser. I'm telling you. You do that every time. Try to remind yourself when you start that crying, you start that ruminating. Oh, I miss my loser. I'm telling you, it'll work so fast. You'll suck it up. You'll suck it up because you had no choice. Because you ain't crying about no loser. Okay? I'ma help.
This is going to sound like a bit much, but if you even want to take it a step further, go ahead and write out your pros and cons list of what it was, the good parts about being with him, and then the bad parts about being with him. Most of the time, for majority of you that are in these weird situationships, your cons list will be so much longer than your pros list. It won't even be funny. It'll probably be like 3 pages of cons and like a quarter of a page of pros. But every time you're thinking about you're missing him or you want to be with him or reach out to him again, looking at that list will remind you, because the pros are supposed to be what you're even missing, that there isn't really much that you're actually missing aside from the fact that you just like to have someone around. It's a good reminder, because sometimes your feelings can get confused with the like reality of the situation, which is that you feel like you want someone around, but you're projecting that onto him just because he was the last person to be in your life, not because you actually needed him, right? It's about being with anyone, right? When you're feeling lonely, you would be accompanied by a garbage can, by a dog, right? And could feel that loneliness. It's not really about the person. It's more about the fact that you're just lonely in general. So remembering that and having that piece of paper that you can look at to really remind yourself and not gaslight yourself about that situation is also good as well. It's like a step forward of this.
If a man is done with you, you will see these 3 signs clearly. Listen carefully. Number 1.
Okay, I'm not doing this because this is AI. I hate doing those AI.
Men are drawn to women who intimidate them and slightly make them suffer or scare them because they know they're not easy. That's a woman that can stay on the pedestal. She's not a pushover and she doesn't jump when he says jump. Therefore, it is more rewarding to them once they're actually with her. A black cat knows how to demand respect, how to remain on the pedestal, and how to remain a mental challenge that forever plays tricks on his mind. And today I'll teach you how. In order to make a man suffer and demand his respect, you're going to have to utilize the power of your voice. You need to know how to say no and how to set boundaries and not be super forgiving because you love him so much and he's walking all over you. A black cat is not explaining herself. A black cat is not begging for him to understand her with her mascara running down her face, being so hurt, but then also so forgiving because she loves him so much and she's pushing her own dignity and self-respect out the door just to be with this man. To set an effective boundary, you're not going to complain. You're not going to approach him with negativity. You're going to point out what he did, how it made you feel, and the consequences for his actions. Period. That's it. It should be limited to 1 or 2 statements. That's it. Example of you giving your power away. Oh my God, I had this beautiful dinner reservation booked and I was sitting in this restaurant. You just forgot about me because you're always late. You don't even care about me. You don't even love me anymore. How could you do this to me? Versus, I know you've been working really hard and you've been incredibly busy. I understand that. At the same time, I need you to understand that I am just as busy and I really appreciate and value your time. So therefore, I expect the same from you. If you cannot show up to a commitment we have made, a simple dinner reservation, how can I trust that you are a man of your word? It's fine because I understand life happens, but this cannot happen again. My new online course on how to speak up for yourself, say no, and
Whoops.
if you want him...
Okay, I like this. I like this example that she gave. Now, what I'll warn you in this example, do this with a guy who actually has a desire for you guys to be in a successful relationship. The reason I say that is because there's a difference between a guy who's flopping on the date, who is genuinely busy, and when you call him out, he's like, okay, I actually apologize, I want to do better, versus a man who's doing this because he don't give a damn. Okay, I want you to recognize the difference and the difference in interest level and the difference in seriousness towards the relationship. But assuming that this guy actually is serious about you in this, then yes, if it gets to the point where it needs to be addressed, that is how you would address it. Okay. From a more, hey, I respect your time. I expect my time respected in return. Now, I will always say withdrawing is the best way to kind of stimulate him coming to you and asking you if everything's okay, so that then when you explain that way, it hits him the proper way that you want it to hit him. But definitely, you should only be doing this with men who actually care. I just say that because I know some of you hear this and say, let me do this with a man who doesn't care. That's not how it works. Okay?
Have you seen the story of the girl who was with her boyfriend for 4 years? They did everything together. They lived together. They went on vacation and she thought she was getting proposed to. As a matter of fact, she had thought she was getting proposed to for a full year and had been having him pick out her nail color, had been putting on super cute outfits for every single date night because she thought, this is the night I'm getting engaged. For a year, they go on this vacation. She thinks tonight's the night. I'm definitely getting engaged on this vacation. Did not happen. They came home. You called it. He broke up with her. He knew he was going to break up with her on that vacation. She is so confused. Listen to this. This is what she said. Every time I asked him about whether or not he wanted to get married, he said he did. How I could be a better partner to him. He said I was a fantastic partner and he just couldn't want anything better. If he was happy in our relationship, he said that he was. If he wanted kids and...
Okay. I'm going to let her I know exactly what's happening here, but I'm going to let her finish.
And marriage and all those things, he said yes. This is a very clear distinction between when a man is driving the relationship and he wants to be with a woman versus when a woman is in a relationship with a man and he is along for the ride.
Exactly.
I'm going to do a whole other very succinct video to break this down so that you know the 3 key things that will help you understand whether or not you are in a relationship with the man who is just there biding his time until something better comes along, or whether or not he's actually there because he wants to be there and he sees a future with you. Go watch her video. I'm going to try to tag her in the comments because I think this happens to a lot of people. And I actually got a question from somebody that I'm going to answer later today about someone who's been in a relationship for 6 years and she is still waiting on a guy to propose to her.
Oops. We're gonna watch. Let's see if we can find Ellie's video because she tagged Ellie here, and I wonder if Ellie posted the video here. Okay, so this is part 2. Let's see if we can't find part 1. Okay.
Every time I tell someone about my breakup, they're like, "Oh, you really dodged a bullet." But like, the bullet was not dodged, babes. The bullet.
6 months ago, I went through a breakup with the man I thought I was going to marry. And today, I turned 29. I really thought I was going to be spending my 29th birthday with my fiancé. But sometimes life has other plans. So today, I'm celebrating by making my own...
Wait,
My ex-boyfriend of 4.5
Here's
years
part 1, sorry.
blindsided me the exact same way that Matt James did to Rachel Kirkconnell. My ex-boyfriend and I had been talking about getting married for 4.5 years. It was always very clear that that's what I wanted out of our relationship, and I really thought that that man was going to be my husband, and it's because he made me think that he was going to be my husband. We had looked at rings, talked about a specific timeline. He said that he was ready. We were hypothetically planning this wedding. I was running Nuuly for all of our dates so that I had cute outfits to potentially wear. He was helping me pick out my nails every month. It seemed very likely that any time we went on a date, any trip we went on, anytime I went out for a couple of months, like there could have been an engagement. That's because he made me think that that was the truth. Just like Matt and Rachel, we went on a trip, had an awesome time. We're talking about engagement, weddings. We got permanent bracelets while we were there. My ex would say that he loved me so much. He was having like the best time with me on the trip. He was so happy in our relationship. I would ask him, how can I be a better partner to you this week? He would always say, you're doing amazing. There's nothing you can do better. That whole trip.
Key point. Bookmark that.
He knew knew that he was gonna end our relationship, and that's exactly what he did less than a week after we returned from the trip, and even after picking out a new set of nails for me after we got back from the trip. He sat me down over the dinner that I cooked for us and told me that he couldn't do this, wasn't ready to get married, and that we weren't compatible. And to hear from your partner of over 4 years that you are not compatible, someone that you've lived with and functioned almost like a married couple with for such a long time, is like very insulting, because how could my perception of our compatibility be so different? And what do you mean that it took you 4 years to figure out that we are not compatible? I've been the same person the whole time. Of course, a breakup is hard if you think that things are going well and you're not fighting and you're being told that the relationship is really good. Like, that is hard enough. But to have the buildup of we're about to get engaged, like my life is going in this direction, what next year is going to look like for me is going to be a wedding, it's going to be pregnancies, it's going to be kids in my future, buying a home. I'm going on this upward slope, and then to be like essentially shot down, turn around, start from the beginning. I just know that that is what Rachel is going through right now, and it's really hard. I wish I could say I can't imagine what she's going through. I can't imagine the publicity of what she's going through, but unfortunately I can imagine the pain and the trauma that she is experiencing from the words that Matt put in her head that made her believe something different. There's a lot.
Oops. I don't know why that did that. Ooh, why did that do that? Oops. Okay, anyways, chat. With this, we need to have a discussion about this, because I don't want any of you, let me find the video again. Is it here? Was it here? Okay, yeah. So we can pause it here. Here's the thing about these type of situations.
My ex-boyfriend of 4.5 years.
Here's the thing about these type of situations, and I'm not blaming her at all for what she experienced. I always tell you guys, do nothing. Right? And it sounds funny when I say do nothing. And I say literally, like, do absolutely nothing. Let him do all the driving. Because a very important point to note about men is there's and maybe we'll have another show about the types of men you should avoid. There's a very distinct type of man called the silent man. And these men are really dangerous for this exact reason. Because the silent man won't tell you how they truly feel about anything. They'll just stay silent and let you do all the talking, do all the driving, and they'll mirror your feelings towards everything. The problem is, just like her, right, Ellie here, you'll feel like everything is perfect with this man because he'll mirror exactly what you say you want. You want to get married? Yep, I want that too. You think your relationship's going well? Yep, I think so too. You don't have any problems? Yep, me neither. But the problem is, and see, this is where things can get a little bit confusing, because I'm not telling you that anytime your relationship with a man is good, that you should be worried. What I'm saying is when two human beings are individuals that grew up in different households with different parents and have a different way of seeing and approaching life, on top of the fact you're a woman and he's a man, there will always be some points of contention, meaning areas in the relationship or just in general that you guys don't perfectly agree with, that you guys aren't perfectly aligned with. And that's perfectly okay and perfectly natural. That should be expected. And anytime you're with a guy and you feel like you have no problems or issues or disagreements or misalignments to the point where it starts to become a little bit suspicious to you, you should be suspicious. Because that is an unnatural way for a relationship to go. People and individuals are supposed to have different views sometimes, are supposed to not absolutely feel like everything is absolutely perfect in every single way. And it's not that you can't have a successful relationship if things aren't absolutely perfect. It's that understanding that things aren't perfect is what makes it possible to resolve conflict. There should be an expectation on your part and his part. There will be conflict, whether it be you two actually having a disagreement or just not seeing things eye to eye. That's the part that really worries me about whenever a woman is leading the relationship or speaking so much towards what she wants that she doesn't take a step back and really ask herself, is that actually what he wants? And I know men aren't the best at being descriptive of their feelings and emotions, but if all you receive from that man in terms of him telling you what he wants is, oh, no, there's nothing to say. Everything is perfect. There's nothing to comment on. Everything is amazing. I have no problems. I have no issues. There's nothing on my mind. Whenever you get that constant, everything is perfect and there's no issues, there's no problems, I promise you something is very, very wrong. He just hasn't told you about it yet. You're not perfect. So it's impossible for everything in the relationship to be absolutely perfect and vice versa. Not saying that you guys should always be focused on complaining about each other, but when you're constantly getting I have no issues, there's nothing wrong, nothing's wrong, it's so perfect, we're so perfect, everything's so perfect. That's unnatural, especially for men. That's very unnatural. And I'm not saying that it's Ellie's fault or anyone's fault who's ever in a situation like that, but something to note and be aware of when you're dating men is how much am I driving this relationship versus how much is he actually driving this relationship? Or is he just silently going along with everything that I say I want? Same reason why I tell you, don't get on your first date and start yapping about all the things you want a man to do and how you want him to show up for you. Let him tell you what he wants for himself, for his own life, for his own relationship, and for his own future and whether or not he wants to be married. Some of you are thinking, oh, well, what do I do with a man who doesn't want to get married? What do I do with a man who believes in 50-50? You don't date that man. But the way you realize that you shouldn't date him is not by going on a date with him and telling him how you expect a man to not want to go 50-50. It's by going on a date with him, asking him what he thinks marriage is, what he thinks a relationship is, what he thinks the approach should be in a relationship, and letting him tell you what his belief system is. Then from there, you answer to yourself if it's aligned or not. Very, very important differential here, because I see stuff like that happen a lot in relationships where girls are blindsided by what that guy truly wants because he's just never shared his actual feelings towards anything. Let's see if we can find some more of these videos if my internet loads here. What is going on? Is this thing going to load for them people? Okay. Sorry, we're just having a little technical difficulty with the page loading. Chitty chat. My apologies. This is just give it a moment. I can see my internet is thinking. Okay. Am I lagging to you guys? Is it lagging for you guys? Hope not. Okay, so we did that one. Let's do this next one.
I was with one of my guy friends today, and he straight up told me that he will look at a girl's Instagram and then see that if her life looks too affluent and he can't afford to date her, he'll never speak to her. And, I don't know if that is valid or not. I don't know, because I'm not a man, but that is so funny to me. So if you're single, maybe he just can't afford to be with you, is what I'm gathering from this. You almost have to respect it. They're realists and they're self-aware. I kind of love that. That's good for them. The level of self-awareness at this age and with the little amount of prefrontal cortex developed, you're ahead of the curve, So yeah, don't feel bad if you don't get reached out to on Instagram because maybe they just can't afford to be with you. I was with one of my guy friends today, and he straight up told me
Sorry, I'm muted. I know you guys are going to say muted. I like this this theory because it's true, because I do think that some men get to a point where they become self-aware enough to realize that just certain women are off the table for them. They're not going to be able to have access to all different types of women. And that's just the reality of life. It's a dog-eat-dog world. And I think actually, if you ever get to a point where guys either ghost you or just don't speak to you because you seem out of their league, it's like a W for you, because then they're not wasting your time. Realistically, if you're someone who believes, like I said a little bit earlier, if you're someone who believes that a relationship shouldn't be 50-50 and you're on a date with a man who doesn't even have anything but 50-50 money, what's the point of even being on the date then? Because you guys are already misaligned and he's not even able to provide for you in the way that you expect a man to provide. So he's better served not speaking to you, not wasting your time or his time. And then if he ever gets to that point, then maybe he can speak to you and he can, have some of your time. It's like you can't really feel sorry for the men who aren't going out and trying to become the most attractive version of themselves. It's the reality of life. If I was speaking to men, I would say, if you really want to get the baddest bees, have your life in order, have direction, know what you want. That way, when you come on the date, you get your pick of whoever you want. It's the same thing for you. Once you want all the richest and most powerful men that can have all the protecting and providing you need, make sure you're the most attractive version of yourself, both mentally, spiritually, physically, all that good stuff. Then when you go out and you know what the men want, you know how they respond to things, you'll have your pick of whoever you want. It's actually a pretty simple concept in that sense.
Every time I found myself crashing out over the most mediocre man, I get on TikTok and there is Christian Walker to clock the fuck out of my tea. I've watched this man's videos like the morning news to the extent I have him on my shoulder and my standards are through the fucking roof. I cannot date men anymore. Dusty, my husband would never. You're giving desperate girl. Like, it's a whole new game changer. Get on his fucking TikTok and train your brain. I am a whole new different woman.
Christian Walker is definitely quite a motivational speaker. We might have to have him on the show just to be like the hype man, just typing you out. Because my skill set is just teaching. I'm over here on the board. I'm writing stuff out. I don't have the same energy that he can really get into it. He's very passionate. I just be on the board with it. Okay, but we might have to have that as a little bit of a dynamic shift just to bounce off each other. It's really good. I like how he does it.
Avoidant men obsess about you during no contact. See, avoidant men or women, both focus on men, value space. However, you may not know this, but avoidants also fantasize about love or meeting the one. So when they break up with you or y'all stop talking or the situationship ends, because the avoidant man now has space, they feel safe, their guards and walls go down, and positive thoughts of lil ol' you start to flood their subconscious mind, especially if you two were together for long or had a deep connection. Before we continue, check the courses in my bio if you're trying to go from anxious attachment to secure attachment or just want to learn more about yourself and grow. Now, as these positive thoughts of you flood the avoidant man's mind, that begins to create positive emotions. The more positive emotions he has, the more positive emotions he feels about you. The more tiempo goes by, look it up, and the more space there is for this cycle of positive thoughts and positive emotions go back and forth within him, eventually causing him to obsess about little you, because he feels you are the one who got away, causing him to obsess even more. But in my professional opinion, you should focus.
Okay, so I'll keep it a little bit more, simplify it a little bit more, even though Breakup Boy is explaining it pretty good. The way I'll simplify this more for you is if an avoidant person asks you for space or shows you with his actions that he needs space, you take it a step further and give him so much space that he's the one asking you why you gave so much space. I know it sounds a little bit toxic, but with avoidant people, the worst thing you can do is attempt to smother them when they're asking or showing you that they need space, because they're used to that response from everybody in their life. So you want to give them the opposite of the response they've always been receiving from every other, especially women, in their life. You want to give him the response that, oh, you ask for space, you will indeed receive that. And I will not bother you. I will not hinder you. I will not message you. I will not be on your back until you reach out to me and you let me know that you want to speak to me. If that day never comes, it's not going to bother me, shake me, or affect my confidence. My life's going to go on. I know it sounds toxic, but the reality of it is that's the thing that avoidants respond the best to, allowing you to come to them and allowing them to realize that when they're an avoidant, nothing happens. You take the shine away from being an avoidant when avoidants realize if they're going to be avoidant, nothing will happen. the relationship will just fizzle out. Then it stops being something that's interesting because he doesn't get chased, and he realizes that like it's either he's going to lose you forever, or if he wants to continue being an avoidant, or he lets go of his desire to be an avoidant. One of the two. What is going on here?
Ladies, we're not done. Part 2 of first date questions you must ask on a first date. Do you brush your teeth? How often? What kind of toothbrush? Do you have any children? How many? On the way counts. Can you build things? What can you build or have you built? If I had a flat tire, are you willing and able to fix it? Have you ever served our country? Who are the women you follow on Instagram? What's your ex's first and last name? Write it down. Do you evade taxes? Are you homophobic? Have you ever bought a drink for a girl at the bar and she ran away? Ladies, we're not done. Part 2.
I have different type of questions. I'm not sure about the effectiveness of these ones. I feel like these ones might send the wrong message, but asking about the ex is a good one. I wouldn't ask the ex's first and last name, but I definitely would ask questions about the ex. That's always a good one, always a good topic to discuss. Not sure the relevance of the other ones, like did you serve our country? Flat tire, sure, I guess. You also have CAA, but not super important. You have to realize men don't go to war anymore. They play video games and scroll on TikTok. That's the world that we live in now. What's going on? She changes her mind. What is putting myself in timeout because I experienced an ounce of limerence after the first date? What? Wait, what? Okay. Someone sent that to me. What is this? You guys are sending me what?
When a man says, "Oh, she's just a friend," I want you to remember the study that they did on men and women's brains on how their brains respond when they're unattracted to somebody. In this study, they found that when a man is talking to a woman that he's not attracted to, the part of his brain that shows he's annoyed and irritated lights up. If he has a female friend that he gets along with super well, there's a huge chance he probably finds her at least somewhat attractive. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't let your boyfriend have friends that are female, but I am saying you should make sure you're asking all the right questions. Like, have you ever expressed interest in your girl best friend? Have you ever done anything with X, Y, and Z person? Because 9 times out of 10, the female friends that men have are females that have rejected them and they've now settled for friendship and they're hoping for maybe the possibility of more in the future. Do with that information what you will. When a man says...
I tell you guys all the time, it's either one of two things. Either they're friends because, like she mentioned, she rejected him and now he's using friends as a way to just continue to be in her life. Or in the opposite sense, she can also be using him as an ego boost because she knows that he wants her and, wants this to work. Or in the opposite sense, he's the one using her for an ego boost because he knows that she wants him. Keeping her around keeps his confidence high that he can go and pursue other women. So I guess those are 3 combinations or possibilities, but it's usually one of those 3. And there's really no other possibility. Guys don't just go out into the world and say, hey, I want to be friends with a woman, unless he finds her attractive. That's the guys just pick women randomly.
Real love isn't about you. So this is how I know immediately where somebody's at. How's it going with so-and-so? I just love the way they make me feel. I love what they do for me. I love the way they talk to me. Are any of those things bad? No, but that isn't love. You're getting a need met from this person that you're addicted to. This is like the serial dater does this. Because the real love part, emotion wears off. It's like, oh, I'm going to dump this person and go back find somebody who will meet that emotional cycle again. That's not love. That's being addicted to a biochemical reaction that feels really fucking good.
That's why I tell you guys, when I say oh, ask this great question to know how he feels about you. And I say, ask him, what specific character traits or personality traits about me do you love about me specifically? And I tell you the 3 answers that you won't accept, meaning you'll know that he really doesn't love you, is 1, an answer that is about your looks. Oh, you have a huge dump truck, you have a nice smile, you're a great body. An answer that is vague. Oh, you're nice, you're sweet, you're kind, stuff that you can say about your dog. Or an answer that has to do back with himself. Like, oh, I love the way you do things for me. I love the way you go out of your way for me. I love the way you're so available to me. Whatever the case may be. That's not, like he mentioned, it's not about him. It's not about you, the person, or you, the reason that he loves you, or your personality. It's about him and how he loves that you will do so much for him, which realistically anyone can do. Which means that he doesn't love you specifically. He just loves what you do for him. And that can be copy and pasted onto any other human being. Okay. Someone said, who is this guy? I don't know who this guy is. He looks like someone important, maybe a lawyer or something. Okay, chat. Let's hop into our next segment of the day. If you are an OG Players Club member, you know exactly what is coming. So please spam it up in the chat if you know what's coming. It is a special time. It is an amazing time. It is a time where you're going to laugh and you're going to cry. Don't look at your clock. Oh, don't look at your watch. Don't look at your phone. Don't look anywhere else in your entire home. If you don't know the time, I'm going to tell you the time. Score time. Yeah. Okay, chat. All right. Enough silliness. Let's hop into our Discord time segment of the show. For those of you who have no idea what this is, I'm going to explain this to you right now. Discord time is essentially where all the amazing members of our Players Club Discord community get an opportunity to ask me a question about their relationship or their situationship, and I answer it live on the show. Now, there are a few different ways you can submit your question to me, and I'll give you the 3 different variations that you can submit your question. First is in our free relationship advice forum here in our Discord. Now, the way that you access this is by going to the link in my bio on TikTok or the link in my description on YouTube, and then you can drop in your question into our free section, and it's a first come, first serve type of section here. So you can see all these highlighted questions I haven't yet gotten to because of it was a lot. Okay. And so to be honest with you, it's probably going to take me a few weeks to answer your question because these are really old. Okay. Like the oldest one is like 30 days old. Right. So it's going to take me a few weeks to get to your question, even if you ask it today. So I know some of you are going to be very impatient and you can't wait that long to get your question answered. So there's another option for you to submit your question. Oh, by the way, you do this by going to the link in my bio on TikTok or link in my description on YouTube and click where it says our Players Club Discord. Now, if you don't want to wait that long to get your question answered, that's perfectly fine. You can also get your question answered by going to our premium relationship advice forum here. Now, the way that you get access to this is by going over to the link in my bio on TikTok or in my description on YouTube. Click where it says Premium Discord Relationship Advice. Then you click that. And then once you click that, you're going to be prompted to donate to the show and also type in the title of your username and the title of your question. Or I get a notification on my phone and I see that that's you and your question and that's supposed to be here to keep it fair to everyone, because this section I read out before I go to the free section and they're getting to like skip the line here. So we have to keep it fair to everyone. If you're going to be able to skip the line that, you're not in here for no reason, right? And you're just getting to skip the line without donating to the show. So that's how we keep that fair. In our third way to submit, it's basically for those of you who don't want to have your information out on the show and you want to keep it more private and one-on-one with me. This is our private relationship hotline. This link is available in our Discord. It's also available in the link in my bio on TikTok or in my description on YouTube. Click where it says private relationship advice. You can submit your question to me, type out as much as you want to type out. And then once you submit it to me, I get a notification and I see your submission and I respond with a voice message, usually 8 to 10 minutes long. And I answer your question, give you advice, give you perspective that you need, and you'll get that back within 7 days. I'm fairly caught up, so it's not going to take me very long to respond to your private messages. A lot of people like to use those as well. Let's hop into our first question of the day here. Let me make sure we're in the right place. Okay, these were all answered. So in our premium section, everyone wants to do a premium question. Okay. So let's start off here. So Pansy says, premium question that didn't get answered last time. Hi, Tommy. Below is my question from the premium submission last time. You forgot to address. I rewatched the show where you mentioned you didn't get to it, but got distracted with other ones and didn't get back to it. Some people suggested he may have misinterpreted my approach as wanting pineapples. Why would men assume that off the bat? And why would they look down on girls who approach them? Can't they just appreciate the gesture and genuinely connect with someone? So just to kind of summarize what Pansy is referring to here, she's referring to the fact that she approached a man. And in the process of approaching a man, he basically said to her, he basically was kind of feeling her at the time when she met him at this event. And then afterwards, he kind of just whisked away and he didn't seem very interested in her. And then it kind of fizzled out after that. So here's the thing about approaching men. And this is why I say you don't approach men. The reason they look down on you, so to speak, is because they understand that if you had real value, you wouldn't need to approach them. They would either approach you, number one, or you would have so many other men approaching you that it wouldn't be necessary for you to be approaching them. I know it sounds very strange and I know it sounds very illogical, but men are already perceiving your value as lower as soon as you come and approach them. It's just the reality, because they understand the men are supposed to be on the hunt. So if an attractive, super attractive woman walks into the room that all those men are desiring, the natural occurrence of all these men who are on the hunt is that they will all gravitate towards the woman who is the most desirable. If a woman is very desirable, she'll have no time or room or energy to be approaching men because she doesn't need to. She meets many men by being approached by them, and so she doesn't have to approach those men. When you approach men also, the reason that they look down on you is because, think about this logic. You know how you're supposed to hold men accountable, and they have the term happy wife, happy life. Hey, he wants to make me happy, so when I withdraw, he has a desire to make me happy and make an adjustment because of how he wants to make me happy. Now, when you approach men, you're setting this precedent that we're here because I wanted to get to know you. We're on this date because I came up to you and wanted to, get more access to you and know how you are and possibly get serious with you. The problem with that is it doesn't allow men to be held accountable. And when they can't be held accountable, they show up for you in a worse way. What do I mean by that? I mean, when it's time to say, okay, she's withdrawing from me because I'm doing something wrong here or I need to make an adjustment, instead of it playing through their mind that they need to make an adjustment, what plays through their mind is, why am I even bothering myself? She's the one that came to me. She's the one that asked me out. She's the one that approached me. I'm not losing out on anything. I didn't invest anything. She's the one that invested her time and energy in approaching me. So it creates it's going to sound weird, but it creates a little bit of arrogance in the air for the men, that they can look down upon you because you're less than, because you're doing something that only undesirable women would do, which is approach the men. I promise you, letting men be on the hunt makes you look and be perceived as more desirable. It also allows a situation in which there's more accountability on his part because you didn't approach him. You didn't ask him out. So if you're not the one asking him out, then he's the one being evaluated. If that's the case, if he's asking you out, if he's asking you for a drink, asking you for your time, he's the one then being evaluated. As soon as you approach, now you're the one being evaluated and you feel the need to be a pick-me-sha because of that. Okay. So let's hop into our next question here. Mark this as red. Just another user. Next step in my relationship. Canceled Valentine's and trip. Oh boy. I forgot, chat. Oh, let's buckle up. You know what? I'll read an extra amount of questions today because I know some of you probably have some questions about Valentine's Day. So I'm sure they'll have some to do with that, especially because today's the day before. I know some of you definitely anxious. Tell me, you anxious? You anxious about tomorrow? Hi, everyone. It's me again. Thank you, Tommy, for all your sincere advice and constructive criticism. I really needed something like that. I also want to thank everyone in the chat who has been drawing conclusions, as it's helped me reflect on how I truly feel about this relationship and whether I might be idolizing him. Since his last message, we have been talking. Unfortunately, due to his work, he has gone to Germany for almost a week. So we won't be able to discuss this in person. However, I'm glad that during this time I can reflect on everything and hope I get advice from you on what to do next. Excuse me. I decided for the sake of context, I should say a bit more. I'm a 24-year-old woman living in the heart of Europe in a big city. So a flight to Paris is really about 2 hours. And we could even go there on a random Tuesday. S is a 28-year-old man from a good family. He earns well, is successful, very handsome, and athletic. However, I also have my own career, but in a completely different field. He works internationally, so sometimes he travels for longer or shorter periods. So far, it has been only a few days at a time. As I mentioned in my previous message, everything was wonderful until our last meeting. When we were kissing more passionately, we completely misunderstood each other. He was hoping for something more, while I was totally not ready for greater intimacy. In the meantime, a conversation unfolded about what exactly we are. That we are not in official, that we are not in official relationship and our different impressions. That we are, I think you might say that we are an unofficial relationship and our different impressions. I have to say that before I was quite close with my ex-fiance. Okay, this changes a lot. Later, I dated several men, but I was never ready for anything more than a kiss or a kiss on the hand. I don't know whether that's good or bad. It's just how I am. And that hasn't changed over the years. What hasn't changed? The fact that you aren't ready for a kiss or the fact that you're quite close to your ex-fiance? I hope you mean the latter rather than the former. It was only with S that I felt comfortable enough to kiss more intensely or even allow him to touch me through my clothes. Nothing below the waist. I'm not sure if that was clear last time. Honestly, when you said touch me through my clothes, I assumed you meant in between your legs. I'm just going to be honest with you. I hadn't had that conversation with him yet, which I know might have caused some confusion on his part. S kissed me for the first time after 3 months, so I thought we were taking small steps. Meanwhile, he felt bad because I didn't agree to anything more. I feel strange about it, and I know now we need to talk about this when we meet. I'm worried that he might now want to use the idea of a trip or an unofficial relationship as a card to get to sleep with me. I mean, if he does that, then you know what type of guy he is. As he wrote in the message, which I'll attach below, saying that we're not in a committed relationship because he felt rejected by me, and that he would definitely say yes if we spent the night together. I know it would be completely different. After that exchange of messages, I have mixed feelings. I told him that this isn't a conversation for text message, that it's too important a topic for me, which is good. I don't think that's something you should have over text anyways. We agreed that we talk about it in person after he returns to the country. Okay, so what's the problem? I don't know what to make of it. Please, I need advice. I hope that with your help, I'll be better prepared for our conversation on Friday, which is also Valentine's Day. Okay. P.S. Regarding the trip to Paris, earlier he had presented me with the cities we could visit during a time that suits us, among them Barcelona, Vienna, and Paris. We chose Paris because I've never been there, so he wasn't exactly using it as a way to impress me with the trip, as someone suggested. I travel a lot myself, and both countries are nearby. I think what more people were referring to as a guy who doesn't care wouldn't be doing that much planning. Do you understand what I mean? That's, I think, the main point, relevance of that. I've also read comments in the chat saying that either I'm the one manipulating or he's manipulating me. I don't know what to think anymore. I don't think that there's any real manipulation going on. I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding going on right now. But I do think that you've aided in the misunderstanding just because of the events that happened. I'll just, in recapping, that you essentially turned him down when he asked you out in the first month or a couple of weeks of dating you, and which is obviously appropriate. But then if you guys don't have a conversation about your relationship status after that, then it is a fair assumption that you guys are not in an exclusive or serious romantic relationship, right? You had an assumption that you guys were boyfriend and girlfriend, even though you never had that conversation again after you kind of saying no. Why does it always have to be such mood swings? Okay. Then you say, hi, I'm also had a wonderful time with you. As I mentioned, I felt confused and needed to think everything through calmly at home, which is fair. Of course, I'm open to dialogue, which will prevent such situations in the future and would definitely give you the full picture. I think then you say, I'm sorry if you perceived it as fuss. I had absolutely no intentions, as I'm far from that. He also, okay, I'm just going to give you a side note. He may be referring to things he's experienced with you before this situation as a repeated pattern. I'm just speaking to what he may mean by that, right? Fuss. I didn't want things to turn out that way, but perhaps there was also a lack of clear communication on your part. Okay, so you're doing this wrong, okay? Whenever you're having a disagreement with someone, the best thing to do is to focus on what you feel and why you feel that way. The worst thing for you to do whenever you're having a disagreement with someone is to say, this is your fault because you did A, B, and C. You're never going to get the response you want from someone, and it'll be very difficult to come to a resolution because the first thing they're going to be inclined to do is to defend themselves. So if this is the translation, if this is a correct, accurate translation of what was actually said, this is a misstep. Because you're now putting him in a position where the first thing he's going to highlight and think about from this message is you didn't communicate to me and this is your fault for not communicating to me properly. When in reality, it's both of your faults for not having clear communication on what the status of the relationship is. Because like I said earlier, he did ask you out the first time. You said no, which you're perfectly okay with doing, right? That's perfectly fine. But then in the process of that, it's unfair to him that you're now making an assumption at some arbitrary point that now you guys are boyfriend and girlfriend because enough time has passed. You can't not have that conversation with him and then assume that he knows what you know or knows what you feel. That's super unfair to him. So the reason I'm saying all that is because in your response, you're saying this is happening because of your lack of communication. That's not right. That's not right. And it's also not going to get you the result you want in order to like fix this and work on this. In the end, I'm glad we had this conversation. I understand. I won't hide that I was looking forward to this trip and counting down the days. Also, and I know you're not going to like when I'm saying this, irrelevant to this conversation, you don't want to, I don't want to make you feel bad here, but you don't want to come across as if you're so fixated on this trip that you're less concerned with figuring out this issue and more concerned with getting through it so you can do the trip. That's not how you want to come across. You want to come across as if you're solely focused on coming to an understanding more than anything. Having clarity more than anything. If I were you and I was advising you step by step, I wouldn't even send a message about the trip. You act like the trip doesn't exist to you because it makes it seem like your focus is more on the optics of the relationship rather than the actual quality of the relationship. It's a very bad way to show yourself in terms of his perspective of you. I was excited that we would finally spend some quality time together. And above all, I was looking forward to finally getting some rest with you. Yeah, it sounds great, but see, all this, like half of the message, this is about your trip, which shouldn't be the focus of this conversation. The misunderstanding and the trip don't have anything to do with each other. If you want to address the misunderstanding, then address the misunderstanding. Do not talk about the trip. It just doesn't send the right message. I'm sorry if you really see it that way, because in my mind, we're supposed to leave. Okay, this is very bad. This is very bad. We're supposed to leave on Saturday, make up for everything, and have a great, wonderful. This is very bad. I'm going to tell you why. But I trust that whatever you decide will be right. This is very bad. You spent like 75% of your response to him talking about your anticipation for the trip. This is very bad. And so let me tell you how someone receives that when you're having a disagreement. When you have a disagreement with a guy that is paying for a trip or organizing something for you, and there's just some lack of alignment between the two of you, and you spend a lot of time talking about how you wanted this to be goods for the trip, for the whatever, it's going to make me feel like a guy. What you care about more than fixing this situation is fixing it so that the trip can happen. This is something that happens to guys a lot, actually, and especially around this time in the year. Guys will get this feeling or this sense that that the woman that they're with is either not addressing things that are important to them or shoving it under the table because they want their Valentine's Day, reward. The problem with that, though, is it comes across very shallow. And I know, what's your name here? Sorry. I know, just another user. Your intention is not to come across very shallow. But when you spend majority of your response to him talking about a trip, I know you're talking about his quality time and this and that, but men aren't receiving it as, oh, this is about the quality time. They're receiving it as, oh, the most important part of this relationship to you is being able to do and have your trip. Because that's what you spent majority of your message even responding to. Not responding to the issue, not talking about the issue, or really talking about how to solve the issue or how you want to come to an understanding. It was really about how excited you were for the trip and how disappointed you are that it's not happening. So let's see how he responds. If you're open to dialogue, then go ahead. I don't really care about the girls on Instagram. I can unfollow them at any time. But at the same time, I'm with you one-on-one. I want to get closer to you and you're pushing me away. So I have no idea what kind of relationship we're in. So take notice of this. Everything he discussed was directly in relation to your disagreement and the fact of what the miscommunication is. He didn't say not one word about a trip. He didn't mention it. He didn't talk about it. He didn't bring it up. He is directly addressing the things that need to be addressed in terms of the misunderstanding. So take note of that. I'm not pushing you away. You're important to me. I'm actually opening up to you more. However, I don't want to discuss this over text. I think it's too much of an important topic, at least for me. So that you should have copy and pasted this over here or up here and then made it clear that you would love to either have a conversation about this in person or over the phone because it'd be a better way for you to communicate how you feel. I think that would have been a better message to send first instead of talking about the trip. You see for yourself that there's a lot, I think he meant to say, you say for yourself there's a lot to talk about, and I'm leaving for Germany tomorrow, so we can meet after I get back. But let's postpone Paris by a week or two, whatever it takes. I'd like to go there as your boyfriend, but right now I don't feel that way. So, just another user. I'm a little bit disappointed in you. The way you painted this picture at the beginning, you painted this picture as if he didn't want to do the trip anymore because of your disagreement. If this is a correct translation, that does not at all strike me as he doesn't want to do the trip anymore. It actually strikes me as he's trying to solve this disagreement, have clarity for both you and him. When you guys go on the trip, there's no miscommunication or misunderstanding. So I'm a little bit disappointed because you didn't paint it like this at the beginning. This makes me feel like he's very much understanding of why this is important and also understanding of what the order of operations must be if you guys are going to get to that particular point. It doesn't strike me as if he's trying to rush anything, but it also doesn't strike me as if he's trying to rescind his offer on you, truthfully and honestly. This doesn't sound like someone who's trying to rescind their offer. Sounds like someone who's trying to get something cleared up first, then we go when the thing... We'll do as you think. This is what you said. It's a bit strange, though, because in my opinion, until 8 p.m. yesterday, you were that way. So once again, you're focusing on the trip. You're making this worse for yourself. I was until 8 p.m. and then suddenly I stopped. So it is indeed strange. And then you said, that's what you told me. I said that because I was irritated by your reluctance to get closer. I definitely wouldn't have said that after a fantastic night. Me, as I mentioned, this isn't a conversation for text message. Then he says, all right, good night, I'm off to pack. Then you say, and I certainly wouldn't have reacted that way if I'd been rested and relaxed. Anyways, good night. So it's my fault anyways. Then he says external factors. You say external factors, sleep well. Okay, update. He called me today, no contact since Monday, and didn't plan anything for Valentine's Day tomorrow. You're going to have to hold that. Asked if I had any plans for the weekend. I said I might have some. He asked why without him, and I said that he didn't suggest anything, so I don't know what you mean. That's a good response. Then I said that if he would like to see me, I'd love that, and he can let me know. Sure, that's fine. Said good night and ended the convo. Okay, that is good. That last response here is good. This other stuff, in terms of like, if he says, hey, I don't want to go on this trip right now, I think we need to figure some things out before going on the trip, your response should be, okay, I agree. I want you to understand this very carefully. I don't want you to mention anything about a trip until he brings it up. Do not seem like your focus is on getting the trip when things haven't been cleared up that are clearly really important to get cleared up. I want you to present it as, I also want the same thing as you, to clear this miscommunication up before we ever do anything else. That way, both of you are aligned on what is the most important part of the relationship. Because the truth of the matter is, this trip is unimportant. And this is the thing, and I'm so glad you're bringing this up, and you're bringing it up the day before Valentine's Day, because I know some of you will also suffer from this virus. Thinking that the most important thing is to get your Valentine's Day roses off, or to get your Valentine's Day date and video off, or balloons off, or rose petals off on Valentine's Day because you want to flex on other women, that is not the most important thing. If you happen to be having a miscommunication or disagreement with your man around Valentine's Day or around any sort of special event that's about to happen, focus on addressing the issue so that the quality of your relationship can increase and go back to normal or get better. Then allow, once the issue has been addressed, for your man to decide how he wants to go about the relationship after that. Do not be so focused on the optics of your relationship that you either suppress what's important to be addressed, or you start saying, oh, but I just wanted to go on our trip still, and I'm so disappointed about our trip still, and I'm so disappointed. No, you should be disappointed about the fact we're having this disagreement and we don't have clarity. Let's address that. Then I promise you, when you get clarity with your man, when you have that conversation that's important, when both of you get off your chest the things that you need to get off your chest, I promise you, if that man has been intentional so far, he will return to being intentional. Okay? But you have to let him do that. This is part of letting go of control. And sometimes I know it's a little bit disappointing because you want to get your pictures off. You want to get your rose petals off. You want to get your, flex off on the other women that you get treated like a princess. But you have to put that to the side for a bit in order to get what you need for the long run. Okay? Because I don't think that this man is playing games with you. I'm going to be honest with you. And I'm telling you this as someone who's helped hundreds and hundreds of women. I don't think he's doing this to play games with you. I actually think he's doing this because he actually has some concerns and he wants to figure out those concerns before you move to the next stage, which is perfectly logical and fine. Okay? So what do you do here in this scenario? What you do here is, so you've already, in your last message to him, you guys have, what is it? He hasn't planned anything for tomorrow. Okay. I know it's unfortunate, but you're going to have to suck it up. Because I don't want you creating a scenario where you guys haven't addressed the issue, and now you guys are celebrating Valentine's Day without having addressed the issue. So I know it sucks a little bit because of the timing that now you guys have this issue and it needs to be addressed in person or even at the very least over the phone. So now it's going to make it so that Valentine's Day is not going to be a thing. But I would rather you not get your Valentine's Day, get the issue addressed, and then get smooth sailing after that, after you guys have that understanding, than to try and force a Valentine's Day to happen, and then it's a poop show because you're not ready, you haven't gotten things off your chest, and he's not ready, and you guys haven't been able to come to an understanding yet, and then you have like a whole, horrible thing because you're trying to do a thing where it's more about Valentine's Day than it is about the actual relationship or where it stands now. Okay, so I know it sucks in terms of an answer, but he didn't bring up Valentine's Day, you ain't gonna bring it up either. Because this man has clearly been able to lead. He's shown the ability to, and the ability to be aware and ask you out and do things for you without you having to prompt him to. You don't start now. Okay? And you're just going to have to let that be. So if he's asking you about what you're doing this weekend and whatever is going on, this response was perfect. He asked you if you had plans. You said, yeah, you might do something here and you might do something there. And he asked why without him. You tell him because you didn't ask me. Simple as that. And you continue moving on with your day. You're training him to show you, I'm not going to beg for your time. If you don't want to make time for me, you don't want to ask me out, I'm not going to say, please spend time with me. Please do Valentine's Day with me. My life will be horrible if you don't do. No. Your life will go on. You're training him. If he wants to address this situation, he wants to spend time with you, right? He will address this situation. If he doesn't want to do that, you're not going to beg him to do that. He knows you're ready to talk. He knows you want to address the situation. That's all. That's all. Nothing more. Don't need to do more begging. Don't need to do more reassuring. Don't need to do more reminding. He's aware of the situation. He's aware of how to contact you. He's aware how to talk about what's relevant to your misunderstanding. He's aware. Now you let him be a man and choose his own path from there. If his choice is to never address it, then he will never see you. Let the only way that he gets access to you or sees you in person to be to first address this situation. Build that muscle memory up for him. That way in the future, if you guys continue to be in a relationship, anytime there's a disagreement, the first thing he does is address it before doing anything else. That will serve you more than any other Valentine's Day gift or hangout. I promise you. Okay. All right, let's hop into our next question. Okay, our next one comes from Princess in 4D. So I knew a lot of these questions would be about Valentine's Day. Let me take a drink of water. Okay. Princess in 4D says Valentine's Day canceled. I'm upset. Ghanaian man's mom got sick and now he has to send her money and will need this weekend to work. I'm upset because it's Valentine's Day and he was supposed to spend time with me, but now he can't because he needs to work this weekend. I know I should feel remorseful for his mom, but at the same time, I feel annoyed because I already turned down everyone who asked me to be their Valentine. Haven't you been dating this man for months? What do you mean, asked you to be their Valentine? Because he asked me. Now I'll have to sit in the house this Valentine's Day. I already got him a small gift, and it seems I'll get nothing. I'm so upset. He called to tell me the situation, and I just asked him questions about his mom and asked if she will be okay. That's good. I'm glad you did that. He said she will be fine after she gets her surgery, but he has to fund the surgery. After he told me everything, I told him I hope she feels better, but that I have to go because I need to do something. But I really wanted to get off the phone because I was upset and don't really know how to respond or react. I don't want to overreact, but I'm also upset. What should I say? I don't know if this is a situation where I should ignore him or do I just put my feelings on the back burner? Am I being irrational to be disappointed and upset given the circumstances? Please help me make sense of it. So far, he hasn't offered to make it up to me. I'm typing this right now, getting off the phone with him, so maybe he will later, but over the phone, he didn't mention anything about making it up to me. I want to clarify that, that it's not that I'm trying to be selfish about his situation. I know his mom is sick and needs surgery, and I understand he has to work. I'm just sad that I'll have to spend Valentine's Day alone because I turned everyone down for him, and now this happens. Okay, wait. First of all, you're looking at this totally wrong. Is this the guy that you want? Is he showing up for you how you've been wanting him to show up for you so far? Don't say it as if, oh, I turned down all these other men. Are they trash men? Were they good options? Were they prepared to show up for you the right way? If these men are just random men that you didn't even want in the first place, don't say it as if, oh, I turned down trash to pick him because he was actually a good man. Just like you chose or you have the man who you actually wanted. I'm assuming so. So you can't say, oh, I turned down trash men or men who are just going to be a joke to me to be with this guy. Like, what are you saying here? Are you saying you don't actually want to be with this guy or you did him some sort of favor? What are you saying? What should I say or do, Thompson? How should I react? Do I tell him that I'm upset or disappointed? Do I tell him he should make it up to me? Absolutely not. You don't do that. Do I ignore him and give him the cold shoulder until he mentions he will make it up? No. I'm going to tell you what to do. My friend said I should say something like this over the phone. Oh, my God. I completely understand that your mom's health comes first, and I hope everything goes well with her surgery. I do want to be honest with you. I'm feeling really disappointed because I was looking forward to spending Valentine's Day with you. I turned down do not say this. Do not say this. Do not say any of this. I turned down other people because you asked, don't say any of this. And now I'm feeling a little forgotten. I know this isn't something you plan, but I'd like to feel like I still matter to you. Even if our plans have to change, do you think we can figure out another way to celebrate together? Sounds mature, right? I'm going to tell you exactly why you don't say this. We'll break it down. But I know you'll probably say no to that because you don't like us over-explaining. You're smart. I don't know, Tommy. What do you think? Also, this would be our first fight, or I wouldn't call it a fight, or the first time he's upset me so far after dating unofficially for 2 months now. Oh, okay. So I want to handle the situation correctly. I will be the first to admit he's shown up consistently in other ways. This is very important, and I'm glad you said this. These past couple of months with gifts, dates, etc., you are aware. But I don't like the situation and need your advice. Should I cut him off? Men should know how important Valentine's Day is for women. LMAO. Please let me know if I'm being irrational for feeling this way. I'm so very glad you added this point. We're going to refer to this back as well. Update. I was kind of ignoring him, taking 6+ hours to reply, so he asked if I'm upset. I just told him that I was busy and tired all day from work, but truthfully, yes, I'm upset. I just don't know if I'm being rational by being upset, so I don't even know what to say to him. I don't want to say the wrong thing. This morning, we both texted good morning, and he texted to ask if I'm on break. I didn't reply yet. Knowing him, he'll reach out again, so please let me know the next steps. Thank you. Okay. Very important, Princess in 4D. We're going to address some things here. First of all, you're not going to say any of this, none of this, especially not over text. You're not going to say not one word of this, okay? The reason for that is, let's make a couple of assumptions here. Let's make an assumption that this issue with his mom and this surgery is a truthful issue, meaning in no way, shape, or form is he exaggerating the truth or bending the truth to avoid Valentine's Day. Like his mom is genuinely sick and genuinely needs some sort of surgery, right? And he has to fund it. So assuming that that's true, this is a very important way to go about this. We can't think of your relationship as it exists right now in this current moment. You have to think of relationships as they exist years from now. What do I mean by that? You mentioned earlier in your message that this guy, you're saying, I'll be the first to admit he's shown up consistently in other ways these past couple of months with dates, gifts, and etc. Basically, everything that he would do for you in a relation, like on Valentine's Day, he's been doing for you for the past couple of months. So a lot of days have been Valentine's Day with him, okay? It's not like this is new or this is going to be anything, that he has never done before. So the reason I want to make that clear to you is because, one, there seems to be a level of intentionality here, not just to make Valentine's Day special, but to make every day special. That's very important to know. Valentine's Day is important to you, but what you should be more caring of, or what you should be paying more attention to, is how he treats you on days that aren't special. Because the truth of the matter is, it's easy for guys to do special things for you on Valentine's Day or your birthday or Christmas. It's a lot harder for guys to care enough to do something for you on a day that's not deemed to be special. That's more important or speaks more to his level of desire for you than making Valentine's Day special. So that's number one. Number two, assuming that his mother is actually needing surgery. Very important. For the future of your relationship with him, you do not ever, this man is Ghanaian, he's West African, correct? Right? Do not ever, ever, ever make the grave mistake of trying to come between a man and his mother. Don't put yourself in a position where you're making him feel guilty for choosing his mother or choosing to take care of his mother. This will hurt you in the future of the relationship if you ever position yourself to be like this in this relationship. Okay? I'm telling you as a West African man, and this is true for a lot of different cultures. If his mother is truly going through something and she needs surgery, do not make the mistake of making it seem like you are not completely supportive of the fact that he is willing to take care of his mother. I understand Valentine's Day is important to you. I'm not saying it shouldn't be important to you. I understand it's upsetting to you because you're disappointed. I'm not saying you shouldn't be disappointed, but understand that it is his mother that raised him, that took care of him. And if this Ghanaian man is living in North America, because I believe you're from USA, I want you to understand something, okay, that you may not have realized. You need to know how much work goes into being an immigrant parent and getting your kid and giving your child an opportunity to live in the United States or North America where they can have much more opportunities for you than you. Especially if his mother is still living in Ghana and she's worked her butt off to be able to pay for and send her son to America to be able to live his life and gain these opportunities. I want you to understand the immense amount of respect that a man will have for his mother for being able to give him that type of opportunity, and the type of relationship and feeling of gratitude and responsibility to take care of his mother that he will feel being in this position. Okay? The reason I'm saying this is because when you're only thinking about what you want and what's important to you, sometimes this can become lost upon you, right? How someone else feels or what their perspective is. So the reason that I'm saying this is because you don't want, in the way that you communicate your disappointment, to make it seem like you would rather him take care of you on Valentine's Day than take care of his mother. And I know that would never be something you would actually say. I just don't even want it to come across that way. I don't want it to be misconstrued that way. And I don't want him at all to feel like there is a decision to be made where it's either I make my mother happy and take care of her, or I take care of my woman. I'm not saying your needs shouldn't be important, and I'm not saying that you need to, he has to prioritize you over his mother or whatever the case may be. What I'm saying is, for this situation and for this circumstance, you need to understand at each different point in life, there will be different priorities for your man. And unfortunately, you're not always going to be the absolute number one priority. And that's not going to be forever, but you have to be mature enough to understand that in life, situations happen. And sometimes timing is unfortunate. Even though you might be really disappointed, you have to understand your support of a man that you say you care about at times will be more important than trying to hold in priority what you want and what's most important to you. Realize that he will be able to show up for you better as a man in the future on days that aren't Valentine's Day when you allow him and support him in taking care of his mother, who he loves and cares for very much. Because if he can do this for his mother, be there for her, fund this surgery, take care of her, and she recovers and she's good now, he will then turn around and be able to take care of you for supporting him through this time that was definitely tough on him as well as it was for you. And repay you, if he really cares about you, repay you for the fact that you were supporting him through a time that I'm sure he's smart enough to know is also a little bit painful for you as well. Okay? But understanding how to support him through this is such an important part of building the rest of the relationship, because you don't want to create a wedge between you guys where it's like, oh, you're taking care of your mom now instead of doing what I need you to do by being there for me for Valentine's Day. It comes across very arrogant. It comes across very self-serving, and it doesn't put you in the right light that I know you want to be seen as a wife. Because when men think about the women they want to give the most to and do the most for, they think about women who are nurturing in their own nature. They think about women who are supportive in their nature. They think about women who instill confidence in them and inspire them to be a better version of themselves. When men think about a woman they want to serve, they're not thinking about someone who is self-serving. Are you following what I'm saying? So understand that approaching this situation correctly will get you a better result for the Valentine's days to come. Not just this one right here in this second. Don't be so fixated on what's happening in the second that you make the mistake of coming across as someone who's so self-serving that you can't see the bigger picture outside of yourself. So I know that it's painful, but what I want you to do, rather than addressing what your needs are right now, I want you to just focus on being as supportive as you can for him in this situation, in terms of like what he needs emotionally, and letting him talk about his situation, letting him know that you're there for him, and being an ear to him, that he can tell you how he feels, how this might be disappointing or scary for him, or put him in fear of what might happen to his mom. Let this be his time for now, and understand that if he really cares about you, you will get your repayment on the back end. And you just have to trust that that day is coming if he really cares about you. Now, obviously, all of this, because I seen someone say, well, what if he's lying? Well, obviously, we can't do anything about that. And Princess in 4D, if he's lying about this and just using this as an excuse to not celebrate Valentine's Day with you, what are we supposed to do about that? You can only control the things that you can control. So as of right now, all you have to go off of is what he told you and believe it to be true. You can't try and, oh, well, it might not be true, so I'm not going to support him, and I'm not going to. If he wants to lie about something like this, first of all, I would never lie about my mother needing surgery. You're speaking very bad energy into existence. But aside from that, if that's what he's going to choose to go out on a limb for in order to avoid Valentine's Day, trust me, you'll figure out sooner rather than later that this is not the man for you. Because any guy willing to lie about something like that just to avoid Valentine's Day, especially when we scroll down here and he's been basically giving you Valentine's Day other days of the months, doesn't make a lot of sense. And it's just like, if he was willing to go to those lengths, then you don't even want to be with that type of guy anyways, right? Feature said it in YouTube. She'll find out if he's lying one way or another. You're going to figure it out, right? So I say all that to say, for this time, be as supportive as you can be, because I'm sure he's in a lot of fear right now. You know, having your mom need surgery, that's not a, oh, my mom just needs surgery. Like, there's a lot of fear associated with that. So I think for now, it's better for you to just support him in terms of just, you don't have to do anything crazy. Just being there for him, being an ear that he can talk to and get things off of his chest, letting this be his time for now, even though you wanted to have your day. Let this be his time for now. And then allow him to then repay you on the back end if he really cares about you and cares about this relationship. And I promise you, if he has any desire to be with you and he has any care for you, I promise you, a man who really cares about you will make this up to you, because he understands you want to have a day for yourself too. You want to feel like a priority too. He's not stupid, okay? Right? He's not that dumb. But he also understands, you know, this might have to be a priority right now. But you want to give him the space to make his own decision, okay? I know Valentine's Day is important to all of you, and I want it to be important to all of you. But, you know, in a situation like this, you have to be understanding of other people and their needs as well, so that you can get repaid, and you'll get repaid in due time, all right? All right, let's go into our next question. I know we have a lot for Valentine's Day, for sure. Okay, Lucia. Urgent help needed. I love this dude. So what is happening? I'm 28. He's 37. And what? Theater actor? Wait, okay, so I think you meant to split this up in two words. Theater actor. Okay, yeah. Hey, Tomisin. He separated from his complicated 7-year relationship in January of 2024. I think you meant to say, right? We know each other from the theater. My first memory of him is from years ago when he stood behind me in the bar queue, did a double take, and I turned around again, grinning to myself. But I didn't think much of it. I had a boyfriend at the time. Later, we worked on a play together, and I remember asking a colleague, is he always like that? A bit chaotic, but always in a good mood. Over time, I got to know him. We live in the same city. have mutual friends, and kept running into each other. We always got along, flirted, and playfully teased each other. Until January 2024, I'm assuming you mean. We were both in relationships. Then in April, after a premiere party, we ended up at my place with a group of friends. At some point, it got too much for me, and a friend noticed. He asked if I should take everyone else with him, then nodded towards him and asked, should he stay? And suddenly I thought, why not? Everything just fell into place like a movie. We had pineapple. Okay. Okay. All right. We're gonna stretch it out here. All right. Okay. I genuinely wasn't expecting that because we're having a premiere party at your place. Okay. I wasn't expecting that. So I'm a bit shocked, yeah. I'm gonna stretch it out to realign my chakras here. I was not seeing that coming. Okay. Oh boy. Let me really get the back in. Okay. We had pineapples, but I got too tired and sent him home. Huh? What? Was he laying that thing down on you? Like he was nonstop? He was Energizer Bunny? What do you mean you got too tired? The next day, he checked in to see if everything was cool between us. He must have beat that thing down. You got too tired. You had to send him home. He must have beat that thing down. He was checking on you. Type it. Okay. A week later, we met at a bar with friends, both keeping things low key until most people had left. What is this? What is going on? We walked a friend home together. Then he stood in front of his door, kissed, and we talked for 2 hours. Eventually, he asked, "What are we doing?" And said he still needed to sort things out with his ex. Wait. You're saying eventually he asked, "What are we doing?" And then continued and proceeded to say, and still needed to sort things out with his ex? Or was it you that asked? Okay. I understood, gave him one last kiss, and left. He watched me as I walked away. Are you trying to say you have a huge dump truck? What are you trying to say there? That summer, he was in Japan with his family. When he returned, we met again in September. That night, we stayed until the end. Okay, this is like your thing. Is this like this? Okay. At some point, he held me in his arms. Later, he asked if he could walk me home in this dangerous sea. Yeah. After a brief hesitation, I said yes. Since then, we've seen each other regularly. We talk about everything. We had incredible chemistry and honestly, the best pineapples I've ever had. And I said it. You're saying you were so tired out that you had to tell him to leave because you were so tired out. He just keep going and going and going. Damn, he penetrated you deeply. Even his mother secretly told me she's praying for us. Okay. I'm not saying that this is untrue, but how would you possibly even know that? How is that even possible for you to know? But he rarely initiates. In November, well, he told you why. He's still getting over his, okay. But he never initiates. In November/December, things started to feel off. We met for dinner to talk. As always, it felt familiar, funny, and affectionate. He paid for dinner. We talked for 3 hours until the restaurant closed. You guys love to stay at places until it's closed down and no one's there. That's literally your thing. stay there until no one's there, and then jackrabbit ourselves like crazy. Okay, whatever works. Held hands and had deep eye contact. We stood outside for a bit, and I didn't know what was going to happen, and he noticed and asked what was on my mind, and I said I wasn't sure if we were going to kiss. He said he had really enjoyed the hug and hugged me again. Now I'm confused. I'm not. How can I get him to open up? That's your question? He said he never really thought about what would happen next between us. That's actually an answer. You know that, right? He obviously is into me. And a few friends and other people sometimes comment things like, get a room, or you'd be a hot power couple, or similar remarks. Oh, you guys dating? Yeah, right. He sometimes gets jealous, and when I leave earlier instead of staying till the end, like your thing is, I can tell he gets a bit restless. Well, how would you be able to tell that if you aren't there? But okay. He has even texted me before in those months. At the beginning, we jokingly talked about our favorite baby names. But for example, he didn't want to have a toothbrush at my place and joked, I'll use it, but I'll take it with me. I need a new one anyways, while laughing. Ha ha. Ha 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 ha. So funny. I know that he used to be completely relaxed with me. And then suddenly, the dynamic shifted. I overdid it a bit with my overthinking, my need to prove myself, or trying to be extra charming through messages. So you've been watching the show long enough, you know where you've been going wrong. In person, things were always great, but the messages kind of messed things up. Since our conversation on January 30th, I'm assuming you mean of this year, I haven't written to him at all. Oh my God, wait, no, that's not possible. Because you said January 24th earlier. So you're, okay. Sorry, I'm just getting my timelines proper. I haven't written to him at all and didn't plan, but I keep wondering how I can fix the situation. On Tuesday night, I went to the bar where we all usually go with a friend, and he was already there with two of our mutual male friends. This is a lot of bar hanging out, okay? Just saying. We all hugged. This was the first time seeing each other since our last date. So you guys are going on dates and not meeting up, but like seeing each other through mutual friends at the bar. This is a very strange situation. And then my friend and I sat at a different table close to theirs. They had their conversation and we had ours. At some point, we spoke briefly. This is very strange, right? You're going on a date with the guy and then going out somewhere with him and then not speaking. It's very strange. I asked one of our friends about his vacation. This is weird. There was a moment when my friend went to the bathroom and I was sitting alone at the table. I was looking around the room and I looked at him for a moment. He quickly noticed, looked at me, and gave a slightly unsure smile and then looked away. We laughed and playfully teased each other as always, and at some point he jokingly said, "Hey, don't laugh." His energy always shifts slightly when I'm in the room, and I feel like he deliberately said things he know I like. But otherwise, he seems somewhat distant. Are we going to ignore the obvious, chat? Or because you're saying a lot of these things, Lucia, which I'm sure is true, but are we going to ignore the obvious reason why this is probably happening or no? Okay, maybe you don't see it. Yet, I could tell that his energy was still with me. Eventually, my friend and I left. And I just waved as we walked past without a proper goodbye. While we were standing outside, as my friend locked her bike, I turned around and saw him looking at me through the window. Then we left, and I don't know what to make of it. I believe he feels more than he shows or admits, but I'm scared I'm making something up in my head, and at the same time, I feel like our dynamic is currently rearranging itself. Chat, are you aware of the obvious here? Or am I the only one aware of the obvious here because it was mentioned a while ago? I just wish I knew where it's going and what I can do to make him choose us. To make him start reaching out to me more on his own. But that's just not his nature. He's generally more of a reactor, not just with me, but in general. He has often noticed that many other men find me attractive and then becomes possessive a bit for fun. I recently said that the guy with whom I actually only wanted to learn Spanish tandem now likes me more, and I don't know how to tell him that learning the language is enough for our dynamic. Then he said, should I talk to him? And I jokingly said, yes, please. Then he had several conversations with himself in Spanish where he rehearsed. That was sweet, as he always reacts when he thinks someone hasn't treated me with respect, and it annoys him. Okay. By the way, we talked about our KINKSs at the beginning because you mentioned it last time. No, oh my God, no. Okay, I don't, I'm gonna have to put like a warning before each and every one of my shows on who it applies to. When I'm talking about KINKSs, clearly invested in building a relationship with you and trying to understand if you guys are like sexually compatible. I'm not saying just have that conversation off the bat with someone who hasn't even shown themselves to be invested in building a relationship with you. That doesn't serve a purpose, okay? It's actually doing you a disservice because this guy told you, you slept with him. Then after you slept with him, you had a conversation about him and his ex and the fact he's not over his ex. Why would you ever do that order of operations like that? You do not sleep with men and then ask them of their relationship status or where they're at mentally afterwards. You do that beforehand. And he said that he likes nice underwear. And if you trust each other at some point, a little bit of BDSM stuff, that's not relevant to you. Because the same time you guys were talking about KINKSs, he was talking about the fact where he's still not over his ex. He told you that to his face. To your face, sorry. And this hasn't been acknowledged for the rest of the message. This is why I'm upset. Because the reason why this is happening, he told you from the very beginning. But because you like him or you want to like him and you want this to work, you've chosen to ignore that. And then you're confused what's going on. He told you. He is very close with his family. He is a latecomer and 10 years younger than his sisters. I think he needs to feel in control a bit. He's not really someone who uses social media except maybe for work. He barely texts unless to make plans or something. It can take him 1 to 2 weeks to respond. For Christmas, he gave me a cookie cutter and wrote for Matilda Christmas cookies. Matilda is my cat. Do you think he got you a cookie cutter to make cookies for your cat? Okay. Do you think I can somehow change this narrative? No. And I'll tell you why. It has nothing to do with you. I feel like our last conversation was a bit of a breakthrough to getting him thinking, but I'm not sure. His mom mentioned that he might still need some time to fully move on from his last relationship. Okay. Love you, Lucia. Some of your details, a little bit less relevant to the story. Some details I do wonder about and I wish you would expand upon. Like, where and how are these conversations with his mother even happening? I don't even understand how this is possible. You just keep throwing it in here. His mom says, when did you meet his mom? When did you even have conversation with his mom? I don't understand how this is even possible in this timeline of events. Sorry, but these are things that are kind of relevant to me that I wish you would explain, to be honest. Maybe now, after a year, he's slowly starting to process things. On Valentine's Day, a band is playing, and he'll also be performing a song as a surprise guest. I thought it might be sweet to give him a cat-shaped cookie made with the cookie cutters he gave me, give him a kiss on the cheek, and then leave. But I don't know. Okay, don't do this. Okay, don't do this. Is the gift a good? No, don't do this. Could he find it sweet that makes him think about us more? No, don't do this. Don't do this. Maybe he now thinks things between us are over because I was playing it cool and acting a bit different. I will post a pic of the gift. Don't do this, okay? It's a sweet gesture. Don't do this, okay? Love you. It's so nice of you. Don't do it, though. Okay? Nice. What is that? What flavor is that? Eat it yourself or feed it to your cat. Okay, don't do this. Lucia, let me explain something to you. And I'm saying this with love. It's not because I'm trying to be mean to you, but I have to tell you this to be real with you, okay? Let's scroll all the way up here to one of the earliest things that you said in your message. Okay, so let's rehash the little bit timeline of events. You slept with him first after this random party that you had after a premiere, right? You guys didn't really know each other. After sleeping with him, the next time you see him, you're in front of his door, you guys kiss. You stood in the front of the door and you guys had a chat. Then he asked, what are we doing? And then he proceeded to say that he sort of still needed to sort things out with his ex. Let me translate what that means when a guy says this, because most guys will never even bother being honest enough to say this. What this means is, I'm still in love with her. Okay? This means he's still very much in love with that woman, to the point where he thinks it's probably inappropriate to even speak on this relationship being anything because of how strong his feelings are still for that ex. It's not a crime. It's not a crime, right? This was let's all remind ourselves, this relationship he's coming from was a 7-year relationship, okay? That ended last year, January. So he was with her for 7 years, and just now, like the day we're coming to now, it's like just being on 1 year. So very much still possible. He could very much still be in love with her and still have feelings for her. On top of the fact, you never addressed this, and I don't think he ever addressed this to you. We don't even know what he means by he still has things to figure out with his ex, because he said that, right? Let's find it here again. He said that, what are we doing? And he still has some things to sort out with his ex, but we don't actually know what that means. Do you understand what I'm saying here? What I mean by that is, you don't know if sort things out with his ex means I'm still seeing her at this current moment. I don't mean like, seeing her in the sense of dating her, but you don't know if she's still in his life. You don't know if they still have ties together. You don't know how much they might even still be going out. They might even still be sleeping together. Okay? They might even still be trying to date each other when he says sort things out. Because what he's not saying is we broke up. Sort things out sounds like we're still trying. Okay? The reason you have to get good when you become an adult. Okay. When you become an adult, Lucia, let me explain something to you. You have to get good at reading between the lines and understanding that most of the time when you first meet someone, they're not going to tell you the exact truth, exactly how it actually is. Unfortunately, I know in a perfect world, people would just come out and tell you exactly what's going on and you would have no reason to be confused, but that's just not how human beings are. So I say that to say, you have to mature to the point where when someone is saying certain type of things, it usually means there's more underneath the surface. They're just not saying that. So me, in my own experience, if I were to hear this from someone else, me and my ex still have some things to sort out. That to me says me and my ex are still trying. Whether it means we're sleeping together and we're trying, or we're figuring out our problems while we still kind of do a thing together, it means she's still in my life. She's still present. And we're even at this current moment trying to figure out if we can still be in a relationship. Because I know from experience, if someone is just done with their ex, they will never speak on them in a way that sounds like their situation or relationship is ongoing, or there is even a sliver of hope or possibility it could be ongoing. The reason I say that is because I want you to get good at reading between the lines. He didn't say, I'm still sleeping with my ex, or she's still in my life, or we're still trying to date each other, but that's what he said. He just didn't say that. And I'll be honest with you. I know it sounds conniving, and I know you wish he would just be upfront with you, but I never expect someone I just met to be completely honest with me about everything in their life. In reality, that's just not how things work. Okay? And you should accept that because you'll be better off in life when you understand that reality. That way, you move off of saying, I'll wait and see what transpires out of what you said, instead of just believing what you said or believing what I want to believe from the very beginning. This is another problem. Because you slept with him first and you started liking him and having feelings for him, and obviously you said that he knocked your socks off when he slept with you. He was doing it so crazy as an Energizer bunny. You had to tell him to leave because you were tired. Okay? Some women can't even get 90 seconds out of a man. You were tired first, and you had to tell him to leave because he just kept going. So I say that to say, doing that first will also put you in a headspace where now you want to believe in certain things because you don't want this to be a waste of a body for you. A waste of sleeping with someone for nothing. Right? So you have certain things that when he'll say them, you want to believe in the fact that it's not what it sounds like, because you don't want to think to yourself, oh, I slept with someone that I have no possibility of being in a relationship with him. You don't want to believe in that idea. So when he said this to you, rather than being able to digest it in a logical way and decode what it really means, you decoded it in a way where it's like, oh, well, it probably means that he just needs a couple of days and then he'll be ready to date after a couple of days. No, that's not what that means. Not at all. But when you're invested now, and when you've slept with him now, and when you're scared of wasting a body now you'll want to twist and turn that statement to mean what you want it to mean rather than what it actually means. Okay? So this right here, and all of the message that you sent, is the only key that you actually need in understanding everything else that he was doing. Everything else that he was doing translates to I'm not ready to be in a relationship or explore one. Why? Because I'm still sorting things out with my ex. Okay? The reason I said that it's amazing he even said this is because most men will never say this, and you'll just have to find this out. Which usually means if we think about how people will under-exaggerate or over-exaggerate things for their benefit when they first meet you, think about this logic. Usually someone who's in a situation that's kind of bad will not say anything, and then you'll just have to find out yourself. They'll under-exaggerate it. Now, if we think about that same under-exaggeration, but it's so intense or so bad that they actually have to tell you about it, but they're still under-exaggerating it even though they're telling you about it, that usually means that the actual level of craziness that is happening is way crazier and way more insane, to the point where he has to tell you, and even him telling you is still an under-exaggeration. So, what do I mean by that, right? Most guys will just not say anything. You'll have to find out his ex is dealing with him some way or another, but at least it won't be as intense. If a guy feels the need to say it to you, that usually means take it a couple notches up, and that's where the actual truthful level is at. So in this guy's scenario, take it a couple notches up from sort things out and realize he's probably still dating her. They might not be boyfriend and girlfriend, but they're definitely still trying to date. That is what that translates to me, which explains everything else that you've been experiencing here in terms of his aloofness, in terms of his kind of like seeming interested in you, but not seeming like he's ready to commit to you. Well, of course he's not. Because he's still interested or intrigued by or with or around his ex. So yeah, you're going to feel some feelings of, yeah, he feels interested in me, or he's looking at me, or he kissed me, or he whatevered me. And you're also going to feel like even though he does that, he doesn't seem to want to build a relationship. So then the answer becomes, what do you do? The answer, truthfully and honestly, is you withdraw yourself completely from this guy. I'm not even going to say do nothing as if you're going to hope for something to happen. I don't think anything's going to happen. He has to spend time for himself getting over his relationship before he can even explore something. And when that time comes, he should be the one pursuing you. I really, really dislike whenever a woman will come and say things to me like, this guy it's not in his nature to pursue. He's a reactor, right? He's someone that you need to come to him. He's kind of shy. I can't expect him to say things and do things and prompt things and progress. No. If you're ever making that excuse for a man, he is not your man. I don't care in what capacity you're making the excuse for him for. If you have to make that excuse for a guy, he's not your guy. It's just simple as that. Okay? Making these type of excuses for a man doesn't serve you, doesn't help you, and down the line you'll end up frustrated because you'll have to be the one holding this relationship up in order for it to even exist. I don't want that for you. Okay? So what are you going to do? Honestly, you're going to delete his number. And you're going to unfollow him on Instagram and Snapchat and whatever else you need to. Because I don't think that this is going anywhere at all. And I think the more you see him and the more you hang around him, hoping that this will turn into something, the worse you're going to feel about yourself. And as you feel worse, my biggest fear is that you'll continue to spiral deeper and deeper and continue to come up in your mind with new things that you can do to maybe get him interested in you. And I said it earlier that we'd come back to it, but the reason that there's nothing you can do is because his interest in you has nothing to do with you. Like the reason he's acting like this has nothing to do with the fact he does or doesn't want you. It's that he's still invested or interested in his ex. And there's nothing there's no cookies you can make. There's no kisses you can give. There's no statements you can have towards him that's going to make him not still in love with his ex if that's how he feels. So I don't want you crashing out. I don't want you thinking of all these creative ways to do more things for him only to continue to be disappointed because he doesn't want you. And it's not that you're a bad person. He's just not in a mental space to pursue you, which is fine. And you have to accept that. You have to accept that. If men want you, they will pursue you. If you're doing all of this pursuing to try and get him to see you, he does not actually want to be with you. It's just the reality. Okay, Lucia? All right, let's go into our next question. Lots to do there. How do I get him to step up and keep men interested without lowering my standards? Okay, Q. I am 42. I met, wait, what? Oh, so you're just calling him L. You're calling him, I met L, who's 37 on a dating app at the end of 2024. Yeah. We quickly went on dates and had a great time. Nothing close to pineapples. We agreed wanting a monogamous relationship with each other, but are both into soft KIN. Oh, everyone's into the KINKs today, all right? KINK dynamic, so had to set some additional boundaries. How long has it been since you guys started setting KINK boundaries? Okay, I'm just curious. We didn't get to make anything official, of course not. I was fairly new to the scene, so I needed time to figure stuff out. During that time, he became unwell. A lifelong illness flared up badly. He was hospitalized and very unwell. Despite this, he has continued messaging me, still is, throughout the days, though, of course, our relationship had to pause. I sat back because he's meant to lead and felt very vulnerable, and being so new to each other, he didn't want me to see him like that at that stage. I'm genuinely not worried he's secretly married or anything like that. He's genuinely been sick. For context, L is very successful. He runs his own business, is incredibly generous, and usually has a full life balancing work with other activities. He's also been quite guarded around his health during this crisis despite daily contact. I don't want it to seem like he's just used me for comfort because I believe he's been frustrated that we had to pause our plans. Have I just become too predictable for him? Wait, in what sense? With contact every day, even though I don't initiate or reply quickly. Really, I believe he's in touch, because I told him I value and expect consistency, and this was the only way he could show up for me during this health crisis. What are your thoughts? L didn't ask me to wait during this recovery time, so I didn't. I got on with dating as I didn't know what to make of his illness at first, so I continued to live my full life. I didn't tell him I was still dating, but he didn't ask either. He came off all dating apps after we met, his choice. I've been focused on myself, had given up on the idea of us, though maybe we'd thought maybe we'd friend zone each other, until last weekend when he said he can't wait to see me again soon, now that he's getting better. Honestly, I'd like to pick up where we left off, but I'm a bit confused. I'm struggling to manage this balance of wanting clarity and letting him lead. In the past, I found I can be quite straightforward and just ask guys what's going on. But now I'm dating more alpha men. Thank God. I think you meant say thank G. They don't tend to like that, so I'm keeping quiet and trying to do less, but it's confusing. I'm confused. What are you confused about? You you kind of answered the whole question for yourself. He was in the hospital with a serious illness that made it basically impossible for him to do anything with you in the relationship. He seemed to be very consistent with you throughout this time, despite suffering from this illness, and seemed to have a desire to date you. And now that he's getting better, he's expressing his desire to date you. I'm a little bit confused. Where along those lines are you confused? Okay. It's already been ages, months that L and I haven't seen each other, and I don't because he was sick. Am I missing something, chat? I feel like I'm missing something that she's saying and I'm not picking up. I don't know if I'm just a placeholder for him. There's been no sexting or anything like that. Don't worry. Okay? It doesn't feel right to me to ask when are we going to meet, but I'm also frustrated of how it is right now and no clear direction of things, if any. I feel like I'm missing something here. How can I be sure he knows my value when we're only communicating via text at the moment? Am I lost, or did she not say he's still recovering from his illness? And while the moment he says he's getting better, he's already talking about going out on a date. I'm a little bit lost here. I'm going to be honest with you. Should I be telling him more about what I'm up to so he knows I'm not sitting around like a dull Debbie? Photos maybe? In my dating experience, I find it usually super intense and too fast with too much sexual charge between me and whoever. I'm lost. You're saying that in your regular dating experience, you find it super intense and too fast with too much sexual charge, and this guy is just being consistent with no sexual charge, and now you're questioning things? I don't know which one is which one is better for you? No sexual charge, not super intense, or being more consistent? I get it, he's texting you a bunch, but he's unwell, like you said. Okay. However, with L, it was different. So are you saying you like that or you don't like that? He wasn't in a rush, even though we got on very well with strong attraction and lots in common. Usually when dating, I ask the questions and follow your advice, but I start to feel really bad when they put pressure on me to get what they want. Usually pineapples. They often complain that I make them wait too long. So we never get to pineapples because they ghost after around a month without pineapples. Even if I really want to, I don't, because I know it won't end well. But they end up leaving anyways. That's a plus for you, because now you don't waste a body on a guy who really doesn't want to have anything to do with building with you. So what's the problem? I don't want to feel bad about saying no. I want the connection to be real if I sleep with someone, and that takes time. What are you upset about here? Everything you're saying you want for your future, you're saying that this is happening right now with him. I get it. He's not taking you out on dates because he's unwell. But everything you're saying that that hasn't been working for you in your past relationships, you're basically saying he embodies. So I'm really lost as to what the problem is here. I want the connection to be real if I sleep with someone, and that takes time. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm now used to them becoming distant when I refuse pineapples, but he hasn't even brought that up. So what am I to do? What am I supposed to say when they are getting moody with me about it. What is your question? I don't understand your question here. Are you asking about this guy that's in the hospital, or are you asking about in general when guys get moody about pineapples? If in general a guy gets moody that you won't sleep with him, F him, okay? It's your choice if you want to sleep with him or not. If he's going to be going to throw a tantrum because he can't sleep with you, let him go. Like, who cares what he thinks? Okay? You're actually saving yourself a lot of time and energy by not giving yourself to guys who are going to throw temper tantrums because they can't sleep with you. Okay? Like, let's get so for real. Just stop worrying about whether they're moody or not about sleeping with you. Like, that's so ridiculous. Okay? I've noticed a pattern. Men chase me hard in the beginning, but after about 3 dates, they stop. It seems to fizzle when they put pressure on me saying you're too busy and that I have trust issues because I ask questions and don't jump into bed ASAP. Yeah, because you're smarter than the average woman and you watch the show and you know how men think and you know the tricks and the tactics that they'll use. The average woman doesn't know that. So the average woman falls for their own feelings of discomfort and anxiety that a man will pull away if they don't quickly spread their legs. You're not that dumb. And you're smart enough to know that you won't fall for that trick. That's the problem for these men, though. They're used to girls falling for that trick. So when you don't fall for it, they're like, oh, I'll just go find a low value girl who will. That's not your problem. Okay? That's not even the type of guy you're looking for. I think maybe I am still too nice, or maybe I'm too much of an open book. I have an issue that I don't want to cause drama. I'm very honest and struggle with playing any kind of game. It's not a game. It's just understanding that you let men choose how they want to show up for you, and you don't say anything about it. You don't try and give them answers to the test. You don't try and guide them or tell them what to do or not do. You just let them show up how they want to show up. And then you ask yourself a question, are we aligned or are we not aligned? I genuinely want to meet someone and settle into a relationship, but not with just anyone. They say my standards are too high. I'm definitely not too available. I never text first. I'm rarely quick to respond and always let them ask me out. But I also find it hard when they start complaining that I'm never available. I seem uninterested, or that I'm probably seeing loads of guys, ending with, if I'm interested, why don't I have pineapples with them? You're not going to listen. I don't want you dating temper tantrum men. Okay. If men are going to throw temper tantrums about sleeping with you, just go ahead. Like, you have to understand how sex deprived and low value a man must be if he's throwing a tantrum about sleeping with you. Like, this is not supposed to be a bargain. Oh, but if I take you here, can you sleep with me? If I do this for you, can you sleep? If men are talking like that to you, you don't even entertain them. Like, those are very low value men. I'll just tell you the honest truth. Okay. They act like women, or I'll just say they act like Squirtle is running away from them. Right. Because it's like they have so little of it in their life that the opportunity to sleep with you is the most important thing in their entire life, that they can't focus on anything else. Okay. So you can see another reason I like L. There's been no pineapples, but we are still chatting daily with no plans until he's better. So what's the problem though? Is he supposed to magically get better? Is he supposed to magically just become Superman and be able to like go on a date with you despite being unwell? I don't understand what you want from L. I really and honestly don't. And I'm being super real with you. I don't get what you want from him. You're acknowledging that he is unwell. You're acknowledging that it's impossible for him to even like properly date you at this point. You're acknowledging the reasons that he can't like push this forward right now. And then you're saying you're unhappy with the fact he can't push this forward right now. What do you actually want? I don't know. And we don't know when that will be. Okay, so ask yourself a question. If you don't like waiting, you're impatient, then just move on with your life. I don't understand what the purpose of saying he embodies all the things that I want in a man, or I like in a man, and I see him as a prospect, but I don't like the fact that he's unwell. He can't do anything about that. And he's showing you that when he gets well again, he would like to date you. So it's either good enough for you or it's not. Choose one. I'm not going to make that choice for you. But if you decide you can't wait, you can't be bothered to wait, then move on with your life. What do you need? What do you need my answer for? Right? If you like him and you want to explore him, then explore him. He's clearly showing some intention here or desire to explore you. If you don't want to wait and you're too impatient, then go off and do something else. Don't waste him or yours time. You know why he can't progress this forward. What are you questioning? I'm really struggling to understand what is going on here. I don't want to make the same mistakes with L or the next guy I meet. I generally want to know what I need to do to keep them interested when they know pineapples is off the table. So what question are you asking? Are you asking a question in general about your dating life? Or are you asking a question about this guy specifically? Because the pineapples isn't an issue with this guy specifically. Now I've known L, albeit mostly via text, for 3 months. I do feel like we know each other better. Is this naive? You don't really know someone over text. So yes, like you don't actually know him. I'm sure you've learned some things about him, but you don't actually know him if all you've done is text him. That's the honest truth. I also struggle with the truth in dating. If a guy asks me if I'm dating, should I tell him the truth and say yes, right? It seems to put them off. Or if I lie and say no, will they think they have me all to themselves? I'm just not naturally mysterious, but is this what I'm missing? So when a guy asks you if you're dating, you can simply say, yeah, when I find someone that I really feel like is, in alignment with me and is what I'm looking for and we're on the same page, then I'll absolutely stop dating. But right now, I'm still trying to find that person. That's the way you answer that maturely. And if their ego is too fragile to be able to fathom the idea that you would date other people when you and this guy just met, then trust me, you don't need to be with a guy with an ego that fragile. To summarize, how can I encourage L to step up, lead again, and make a move? He's in the hospital. Or maybe not in the hospital, he has an illness. Let him get over his illness and then decide and then judge him after that. Wait till he's not suffering from his illness and then judge him. That's all I'm going to say to you about L. But make it look like it was his idea. You may say if he wants to, he will, but he's been really vulnerable and I think probably concerned that I might reject him as a result. It doesn't matter. Who cares? You can't be thinking about how sensitive or shy he's going to. If he can't do it, he can't have the courage to do it. Who cares? He really wants to project this image of alpha. If he's truly an alpha, he will be courageous enough to ask you out. And even though I've been super nice, and if he doesn't, how do I communicate that the daily texting needs to stop? You just stop texting him. If you really don't want this anymore, you just stop texting him. Or you just stop, or if you want to be courteous, you can text him one day and say, hey, look, I appreciate you texting me, but I'm just going to move on because I can't keep doing this back and forth texting forever type of thing. But then just move on. If he doesn't step up, how do I improve my dating game so I'm not too available or unavailable? Guys ghosting when I won't have pineapples. That's not in your control. Okay? You don't worry about that. You control what you can control by presenting yourself the way that you know will put you in a position to be someone's wife. If guys meet you and you don't sleep with them and that throws them out of whack and they ghost you because you won't sleep with them, perfectly fine. Understand what you're even asking me here. How do I, get guys who are only going to ghost me if I don't sleep with them? How can I get them to like me? Why would you ask yourself this question? Why would you want a guy to like you that is only willing to not ghost you if you sleep with him? Why would you want that guy? Why would you be trying to impress that guy? Why would you be thinking about how you can ease anxiety or do better for that guy? Don't you have any self-respect? How do I shift my approach so men don't lose interest because I'm maintaining my boundaries and standards? How you shift your approach is by not giving a flying F. Not one flying F. Not a single flying F about what a guy thinks of you who will ghost you if he can't have pineapples with you on the spot. You give not a single flying F because your life was moving before them and your life will be moving much after them. This stuff, I know we talk about men and what they want and things like that. I do not want any of you to ever get it confused that we come into this community and we talk about what men want and what they think, because I want you to be going out and thinking, but I tried it and this man, he didn't want me. But I tried it and all the guys and these guys, they ghost me because I have standards and boundaries. Tomisin, how do I have less standards or boundaries? How do I get all the men to like? We're not trying to set you up in a position where all the men like you. Okay? Do you want to know why? Because the only way to get all the men to like you is to have no standards and no boundaries, right? And the men won't even actually like you. They'll just like using you. The reality of it is, when you have standards or boundaries, it's not so that you can attract every man in the world. It's so that you can attract the type of man that is looking to build with you and make a wife out of you. Because men who are looking for a wife are looking for women with standards and boundaries. They don't want to marry the girl who says yes to every man. They don't want to marry the girl with no standards or no boundaries, because that's going to mean that she was sleeping with and being around and hanging around a whole bunch of low quality men. And a guy who feels like he's high quality and feels like he's worth something with some value is not going to want to stand beside a woman and have a woman represent him that has no standards or boundaries and has been with all these other men, right, that are very, very low quality. A man's going to want to feel like a man by being with a woman who actually carries herself like a queen. Does the queen talk to the peasants? Does the queen sleep in the peasants' bed, have conversation with them, text them back and forth, go on dates with them? No, 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 no. The queen only deals with the king. Anyone else is not of her concern. Okay. So I'm saying that to say you're worried about the wrong type of men. The reason you're having a problem with these type of men when you're setting boundaries and standards is because those aren't the type of men you're looking for. When you join the Players Club, I know it's called the Players Club, but we're not understanding how men think so that you can be attractive to all type of low quality men. We're understanding how men think so that you can be attractive to high quality men. Because I can assure you, high quality men are looking for women with boundaries and standards. Maybe not every man is high quality. Well, I guarantee you every man's not high quality. But we're not worried about getting you with every man on this earth. We only need you to be with one man that fits your criteria, that has high quality. Okay? So there is no advice on how to adjust your standards or boundaries so it's better for the men who are going to ghost you if you don't sleep with them, are going to throw a tantrum because they can't sleep with you. Get rid of that mindset. Okay. Now, as it relates to this guy, you have to decide what you want. It's only one of two things. Either it's taking too long and you don't want to be texting anymore and you just want to move on, in which case send him a last text of, hey, a goodbye. I appreciate this, but I got to move forward, and then move forward. Or what you can do is you can allow him to get well again, because clearly him being unwell is the reason why he hasn't been able to progress this forward. Let him be well again for a period of time and then see how he treats you, or if he asks you out on a date or is intentional with you. If he then transitions to being intentional with you, then perfectly fine. You should be understanding of his situation. You can't only be thinking about what you want and never be considering what's going on in other people's lives. Clearly, you've acknowledged he's in a situation where it's hard for him to even be dating right now. If that's too much for you and you don't want to wait for that process, that's perfectly fine. Then move on with your life. But you can't be in this in between, say, how do I stimulate a man to take control when he's in a position where even if he wanted to take control, he couldn't because of his life position? What do you ask? Really ask yourself, what do you want me to say to you? Do you want me to tell you to tell him, hey, tell him that he should get better and figure out how he's going to fight through his illness to be able to take you out on a date? Is that what you want me to tell you to tell him? That would be completely illogical and unreasonable. Okay? I want you to decide for yourself if you're willing to wait for him to get well, which is fine. That's fine. Or if you don't want to wait, go ahead and end this now. Don't be in limbo. Okay? So the answer to your question is to answer your own question by taking action. Either decide, I don't want to be in limbo and I'm going to take action by ending this right now, or I don't want to be in limbo and I'm going to decide for myself, I'll give him some space to get well. And within this space, he'll have to get well. If he chooses not to reach out to me or actually be intentional with me in this time period after he gets well, then I will completely end this relationship. Those are your two options. And it's your choice on how you decide how you're going to go about that. Okay. For the sake of it, we'll do two of these free questions and then we'll be on our way. So let me make sure that I do all of these. Okay. I did that one, right? Seeking advice. Okay. This question was skipped. All right. So let's see this. This one's from LP Baby. Seeking advice. All right. What do we do? Why do guys love teasing and being playfully mean? I've noticed this with the new guy I'm seeing, and also in my past relationships. Men love to tease, roast, almost as a way to make me laugh or get some type of reaction. Is there a reason to why guys do this? To me, it's a little childish, but I can't help but feel like it's a guy's way of indicating they are interested. But what are your thoughts? My thoughts are a lot of people do this, both guys and girls. They'll tease you first of all, two things are happening when someone teases you. One, they're gauging your level of security or insecurity. People that usually are very insecure have a lot of a problem with being teased because like any sort of like little bit of a tease or a roast will bother them. I'm not saying you have to change your behavior or response, but having thicker skin always speaks to more confidence or security when people can just tease you and it doesn't really bother you or whatever, right? You can laugh at a joke, right? When it's actually a joke. The other thing too here is when people tease or roast you, a lot of people just, how do I explain this? Especially for men, it's just a little way of having some playful banter. I know that you said it's a little bit childish, but like you can't have a whole relationship where everyone's just buttoned up and super serious and everything is so serious and no one acts away. Everyone is just such a crazy adult. No one tells a joke. No one like you want to allow space for your relationship to be enjoyable. You don't want to be, especially as a woman, you don't want to get into the habit of like telling your man, hey, be serious. Don't be a child. Don't act dumb. Don't tell jokes. Don't do this. Don't do that. And the only thing you expect from him is just to be super serious all the time and never have any fun. I seen that actually. I can't remember what dating show it was. I think someone mentioned it on Love Island or something like that. One of these dating shows. But there was a woman just like that. And everything with her man was, don't do this. Don't have fun. Don't be silly. Don't tell jokes. Don't say this, right? And it was like she suppressed him to the point where he wouldn't say or do anything unless she allowed him to say something. But the problem was, you want to know what happens to those men? When you suppress a man like that and you tell him, don't have fun, don't be playful, don't be joyful around me, he'll become miserable around you. He'll stay around you even though he's miserable. He won't say anything about his misery. And one day he'll wake up and say, yeah, for the past 4 years, I've been unhappy with this relationship and I met a new girl that makes me happy and I'm going to go be with her. I'm telling you that this happens. So your best bet is when you get into a relationship with a guy, let him be playful around you. Let him enjoy his time around you and not trying to suppress that joy. Because you'll find yourself in a very bad position down the line in terms of his desire towards you. And you'll be very shocked at what he really thinks or what he really feels when you spent so much time suppressing him that he's never expressed to you what he actually wants. Okay. For example, the new guy I'm seeing keeps saying I'm bad for his health because he stays up to text me. Laugh it off. You know when people say, oh, you're trouble? Just agree. Just ha, 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 ha. You're so funny. What he's saying is not even anything bad. He's just saying, oh my God, I like you so much that it's bad for my health. Ha, 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 ha. You really think so? Ha, 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 ha. I'm thinking to myself, sir, you have free will. No one is forcing you to speak to me. Yes, I know. Yet here you are. Yes, but don't say this, right? Just let him be playful. Oh, you think I'm bad for your health? Ooh, devil face. Ooh, wink face. Ooh, like just part of flirting, okay? Let him be like, see, let me tell you guys a little side note. Let me tell you guys a little pro tip, okay? Anytime a guy messages you on some sort of vibe like, oh, I can't control myself around you. Oh my gosh, like you make me think things and feel things I've never felt before. I want you to feed into that narrative. Don't at all shoot that narrative down. Not even for a second. Feed that narrative. Oh, you can't control yourself. Tell me how. What do you think about? Why do you think about me all the time? You want to know what you're doing? You're forcing him to speak into existence all the different reasons why he's obsessed with you, why he can't get you out of his mind. And you're actually enforcing that idea even deeper. You want to know what you get when that actually becomes true? You get a man who's ready to crawl on glass and sniff your butthole. Keep letting him enforce that ideology and concept in his mind over and over. Encourage it. Every time he says it, encourage it. Never stop encouraging it. Okay? You don't want him to get to a point where he doesn't think he's obsessed with you. He doesn't think, he's into you so much that he can't sleep. He can't eat. He can't think. Yeah, you can't sleep. Yeah, you be thinking about this all night. Yeah, tell me more. Tell me again. Tell me again. Let him keep going, right? It's good. It's good. It's good for both of you. He always says, I think you meant say up way too late when I'm out and about going to concerts with my girls and working late as a dancer, not a stripper. He knows what I'm up to because he watches my stories, and sometimes I send him pics rather than long texts. He also comments on my stories on my foot size when I post body shots, nothing too suggestive, and makes comments about my gym, constantly reposting my stories. And wait, what? He reposts your stories? Over and over like a tag loop. Okay. Does this stem from a man's desire to seek emotional connection in a silly, childlike way? Yes. And I think that when men are able to be playful around you, it's good. It's good. Don't suppress that. Okay. Don't suppress that. How would you recommend engaging as a woman? Feed it. Ask him why he's so obsessed with you. Ask him why he thinks it's bad for his health. Every time he says one of those things, ask him why. Ask him to give you examples of why he thinks you're bad for his health, or why he stays up till 5 a.m. thinking about you, or thinking about the next time he's going to. Let him feed into it. Let him talk about it extensively. You're reinforcing it in his mind and a belief of his that is true, right? That he is obsessed with you. He can't get enough of you. That is all good for you. Don't ever suppress that. Feed into that. I have a tendency to tease back, and sometimes I take things personally when he makes comments about me being out late. No, that's just because he's on your body, as the kids say, okay? LP baby, this is all good things. Let a man be on your body. He always checking for what you got going on. Where you at? What you wearing? Who you with? Right? What time you get back home? How long you been out? He on your body. That's what the kids say. Okay, that's good. You want that man on your body. Encourage that. Don't discourage that, okay? Let him be on your body, because the opposite of that is that he don't check anything you're doing at any point in the day, and he don't give a damn how long you've been out. That's the opposite. And if that's where he's coming from in his mental state, I promise you, you won't get anything that you're happy with in terms of your relationship with him. Whether I'm at a dance studio or whether I'm out with my girls, kind of let me know your strategies on how to playfully tease back that will evoke desire and being fun in a loving, respectable, classy way. All you do is you feed into it. Ask him every time he says it, like I said, ask him how, ask him why, and ask him to give you some examples of why he thinks that way, right? So he says, oh, you bad for my health, girl. You trouble, girl. Ask him, why? You stay up late? What do you think about? You thinking about me that much? Give me an example why you think I'm bad for your health. Why do you think I'm trouble? What did I do? What did I say? Why you think I'm just such a girl, I don't know anything about anything. You think I'm trouble? Why? So, trust me, the guys love it. They eat it up. They eat it up. He'll just start going and going and going, and you'll be like, damn, do you love me that much? Okay. Right? It's good. It's good. It's good. All right, let's hop into our next question here. Make sure so much scrolling. Make sure I get into these. Okay, this one was answered. Lilith was answered. Isaac, I believe, was answered. Was it? No, I think we have to do Isaac. Okay. All right. Isaac says, a question about marriage as a man. What? This is a man? Okay. By the way, I think you may say, are your guys' opinions about marriage? Because as a man, don't hate on me. Okay, so this is actually a man in asking this question. You're a little bit of typos. They teach me that it is the ultimate stage to be in. But what I have discovered because of media is that it's a trap for men and women. I'm curious, should I still marry or shouldn't I do that? Because what I have seen, there is a trend, of faking until marriage, because I believe in Christianity and I don't know if it's smart to marry someone in this money and lust dominating world. So you're right? If the world that we live in, a lot of people are focused on money and lust. What you're trying to do is before you get married, you're trying to focus on finding someone with qualities that you actually agree with, that you're actually in alignment with, so that when you do marry someone, you're not concerned about their motives. So even as a man, right? The same thing that I advise the woman in terms of trying to understand men better, trying to ask them questions, trying to get an understanding of their psyche, seeing what they would rather do is the same thing that you do in your relationships as well, right? You have to ask questions and you have to really be interested in learning the other human being across from you. When you go out with someone, you can't, even for you as a man, Isaac, you can't allow your own desire for lust or your own desire to like get intimate with a woman to blind you from who she really is. Because learning who she really is will decide everything that you need to know for your future on whether or not you should be marrying that woman. Because it's a choice that's important for you to understand the choice you're making for yourself as well. I think that the only reason you're saying it's a trend is because think about this logic as well, right? Who are the people who are going to make social media posts about relationships the most? Probably the people with the most horrible relationships. Think about this logic as well. Most people who are posting viral videos, trendy videos about relationships are probably not in healthy relationships, because the ones in healthy relationships are probably not even needing a validation from the internet or social media at all, which is why you don't hear about their relationship. They just go about it and enjoy it. So understand that what you're absorbing is also skewed, because what you're seeing about people's experiences in relationships or about marriage in particular is usually going to be on the negative side, because that's what goes viral. And a lot of the happy marriages you won't hear a lot from, because they're happy and there's no reason for them to make content about their marriage or relationship. So just be aware that marriage is still very much a thing. It still very much happens, and there's still very much a lot of people in happy, healthy marriages. Now, the question you have to ask yourself is, how do I get to that side instead of being on the side of people who aren't in happy, healthy marriages? What do I need to avoid? What do I need to look for? And what needs to be the most important things to me? Okay. For you, someone as a Christian man, Isaac, my advice to you would be the first place you should be looking for a woman is in church. And hopefully you go to a big church or a semi-large one where there's both adults and young adults there, because that is a way to at least filter out a lot of the bad actors that you'll meet if you're just dating casually anyone, especially if you're someone who has very particular morals and values and you want someone who really is aligned with you in that. The best place for you to meet a woman is also in church. Okay. All right, chat. That was, I think, our first question from a man. That's the show for today. For those of you who have any questions for me, you can ask me, whether it be in our free section, in our private section, or in our premium section on Discord. For those of you who are watching the show on TikTok and you want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is just above my head on the top left corner of the screen. It's Tomisin_Atub. For those of you who are watching on Instagram, it's also down in the link in my bio below. Yeah. Somewhere down there below. For those of you who want to rewatch the show because you missed some parts or you came late, it's all above my head on the top right corner of the screen. Just go to my YouTube page, Tomisin, Tomisin. Once you get to my YouTube page, go into the live section and you'll see this live stream and all the other live streams I've done since the beginning of time. And the best and most amazing part is, let me make sure I set this so that it's available for you guys afterwards. Make sure customization. I want to make sure that you guys can get access to this. After the fact, that you guys can watch this. Okay. What day? Okay, perfect. It'll be available for you guys right after the show. And for those of you who want to watch this and you're on TikTok, yes, you can go watch it there on my YouTube channel on the live version on TikTok. There you'll see all the conversation that we had, okay? And you'll have the YouTube and the TikTok live chat embedded in the video, so you won't miss a second of the conversation that we have on the show. A lot of jokesters in the chat, all right? For those of you wondering what time I'm on, again, I'm on, my new schedule is Mondays and Thursdays. So I will be here next weekend, right? So next week, Monday is the next time I'll be here, okay? Only twice a week, just for now. Got some things I gotta figure out, some things I gotta put in place, build the team up a little bit more, and then we're gonna return back to a more frequent schedule. Don't you worry, okay? So Mondays and Thursdays for now. So you want to catch me again, it's going to be Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I will be posting on my YouTube channel other videos that don't get put on the live stream as well. So be aware of that. Make sure you're subscribed to me on YouTube so you don't miss any of those videos. Got a good one coming up probably either tomorrow or Saturday that is going to be about how to keep your man in love with you forever, for those of you in a relationship. So be on the lookout for all of those. Until we meet again on Monday, I bid you adieu. Hasta la vista, sayonara, au revoir, arrivederci, adios, bounty, ciao, salam, bon voyage. And I'll see you again on Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I love you so much. We had a long stream today. Like 4 hours, something like that. Something like that. Tight shit.